You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Hey, what's happening? And welcome in on a Tuesday. A wet one here in Jacksonville and a big one in Jacksonville as it's a pretty significant day here in the River City. And schedule comes out tomorrow. Jags hit the field next week, but the stadium takes the next step today. And that's a big deal here in the River City and for a long time to come, the significance and the impact. And hey, look at this. Jason Hamby, guest today on the show.
How about
it? Good to be back. Missed the show yesterday. Austin Lane and Casey Kurtz got it done. Guys survived, and we're still on.
We are still on, yeah. Had a couple close calls, but we're all good, man. You know how that goes sometimes.
The close calls, we know all about those. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. And Jason Hamby in from the morning shift and says, hey, I'll hang out. Why are you hanging out? What did you text me?
I got something at 11. So,
so you're not going to bed?
Yeah. So I'm not.
So you've been up for like how long now?
I woke up yesterday at 5 p.m.
Yeah, I can't even. That's wild.
Do most people that work your shift actually like go to bed until you like later?
Yeah, most people go like wake up and then go straight to work, but I go to bed right after. So
Man.
Yeah, because I think I would do it. Like I think I'd wake up, like go to bed at night, and then wake up at like whatever. What time you come in? Like 2?
Yeah, but think about how much you're missing at night.
Well, it is a good point, especially in the sports world,
Yeah,
right? Like you can catch all the games if you go. You just miss the daytime.
Right. True.
But basically, you see like 2 hours of sunlight all day that way.
In the fall, it's like that. It's like 45 minutes of sunlight.
Now, you know that's not the most healthiest thing as a human being. I'm just saying.
It's temporary.
Yeah, I got you. It's temporary.
It's temporary.
Man. Just trying to earn your stripes. I like it, man. Put the work in.
Anyway, you wanted to jump in. And all right, guys, have at it. The stadium. You just, in the morning show, Ben Becker breaking some news yesterday. Well, we're about to find out if he's right, which I believe he's right.
Oh, wow. Brent, don't do that to Ben like that if he's right.
I mean, but he got some details, which was a great scoop by Ben Becker last night. And so give it to us. Set the scene here, Hamby.
So originally we thought the deal was going to be $1.4 billion. Going back to the Curry administration, we thought it might be a 2/3 taxpayer, 1/3 Jags. So Ben Becker breaks last night that the deal was $1.25 billion, so a little bit less, and that's going to be a 50-50 split between the team and the city. That the deal includes that the Jags will play at least one home game in London for the foreseeable future, and pretty much a caveat, which is not even that big of a deal because it's an all NFL teams thing, is that we'll go overseas one additional game once every 4 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's important to note on that part, right? I think what's interesting is with the 17-game season, the alternating home game,
Yes.
each year.
Yeah.
So every 2 years, you get an extra home game.
Correct.
So now, I'm not telling you that you should feel better about it. I'm just saying I think it's significant to be it changed from the time in 2020, right before the pandemic, when the Jags were going to do 2 home games. They hadn't gone to that 17-game season yet. So in the 16-game slate, when you had 8 home games, there was really going to be 6 regular season games. What will happen here is there will be, even on that, if they do, by the way, they said an option to do that, not necessarily a given that they will play 2 every 4 years. But when they do that, there will still be 7 home games on the slate. So I think, the way I interpret it, there will never be less than 7 home games in Jacksonville.
Okay, so the overseas game would count as an away game then, correct? That's what we're getting at?
No, they would play 2 home, like they can play 2 games over there, 2 home games.
2 home games. Okay, and then
but
would there be an away game?
That would have been when there would be a 9-game home schedule.
Gotcha. But then would there be an away game then too?
Don't know.
Okay.
Like that part. So you're saying would they play 3?
3.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's impossible to know. Here's the thing. The one thing about the two games in London right now for the last 2 years is it's lined up that way. Now, will the schedule line up that way all the time? You have to be playing, like Chicago's going over there.
Sure.
So you have to be playing Chicago on the schedule. It's got to match up. I don't think the Jags are always going to play 2 games over there as it sits in terms of a home-away fashion, because I don't think every year is going to line up to be the team that's playing in London. Now, maybe there is a way to make that happen, and I'm not smart enough to know that. But I think the last 2 years it's worked out that way, that they had the Bills, who were going over there so they could play away, and then Chicago going over there so they can play away.
Okay.
But I don't think it will always be that. And again, I could be wrong. But so that's kind of got the attention of at least a lot of social media.
Of course.
That London game. But I do think we need to make that clear that it sounds like to me there's no less than 7 games inside Everbank Stadium on any given year.
Okay, and then if you're playing 2 home games, then we'll just say, it's going to be in England for sure, or it's going to be global? We don't know.
Well, I don't think we know, but I think the Jags have really put their flag down in
England,
London, right?
So then would that be back-to-back?
I would think so.
You would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, we have no idea those kind of.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much we know.
Well, the city can't determine that. The Jags can't determine that. The schedule makers determine that. But I got to believe it's back-to-back. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I mean, just because that's the way it's been. So let's go under that assumption that's the way it will be. So is that the biggest headline, Hamby? Because it's interesting, like, we live in our sports world where London and everything else, I'm not sure everybody else is bothered by the money, the dollars, right? Everybody in the sports world kind of is like, hey, okay, we got to get this thing done. It's going to cost money. Mm-hmm. Now, there might be some in the sports world like don't want to spend that kind of money on the stadium, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think there's 2 different factions here. There's one that's these diehard Jags. We live it every day. We're talking it every day. The London stuff really bothers them. And then there's this other part of the population that's like, I don't care if it's less than $1.4 billion. I don't care if Shad's getting going to do half of it. It's still $625 million for taxpayers in the city of Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the vast majority of people, especially in Duval County, are worried about the tax dollars, just because, in the past they would argue they haven't seen the growth in the city that comes from what's supposed to be having an NFL team here. So the huge story for the majority of just people that live in Duval, because obviously the Duval County is the only people paying for it, which, Brent, you should probably have to contribute as well over in St. John's, but that's another argument.
I have said that in the past, by the way. I tend to agree with that.
I would love, on a side note, I would love to see the demographics of how many fans come from St. Johns County, because I bet you it's a good deal.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, Jacksonville's so spread out, without a doubt. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, the taxes is the huge thing. I don't think people are honestly that fired up about London, because I think the real fans know that it's an advantage for us on the field, spending 2 weeks there.
But here's what I'm going to say about that. It's hard to justify raising your taxes, getting a new stadium, all this stuff, then say, oh, by the way, you're going to have another home game in London every 4 years. Like, I live in Duval County. I'm questioning that. I'm saying, well, how is that a right thing to do?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think a lot of people don't like the London stuff. The London stuff is a problem, like, for people, and it has been and always will be, and they're not going to move from that. And I'm not here to justify it. If you feel a certain way about it, you feel a certain way about it. I think the bottom line is you're not going to win that, at least with the one game. Now, the second game, I don't know. Is that a play that the Jags were able to make in this negotiation? Again, we'll hear from these guys later tonight to get a little more detail. This is just off Ben's report. And, again, this will get confirmed tonight, too. I mean, all the details of it, as much as they know and we know. I think we have to be cautious about that. That'll come out later tonight at 5 o'clock. But I wonder if when you shrink the dollars total, when you made it more reasonable in a 50-50 split, because I think Hamby brought up a very important point, which is impacts way more people than care about London. Like, the bottom line is the tax dollars do raise more of a fuss than the London fuss in terms of the amount of people raising the fuss, right? The win the Jags and the city need to get is the taxpayer side of it, right? We need to explain this. Why is it good? All these different things. Why am I spilling my coffee?
Getting intense.
Those kind of things. But that's the second time, by the way, I spilled my coffee today. I already had to change my pants once.
Stay hot. No problem.
But so was that part of the negotiation? Be like, okay, we're going to play another game in London too, but because we're going to pay more now, right? How did that work out? I don't know if we'll get those details. I don't know if we'll even find that out. I also had said this last week. The city doesn't seem to be bothered by London either. They go over there, they use it, a direct flight that's coming. They try to get business. They try to grow things. We're trying to be like the tech capital of the East Coast. And London has a lot of businesses and interest. And if they can make that part of the city and grow the city in a financial way, like that's part of this. I'm not telling you it will. I'm just saying that's what we've sat down and heard from them in the last 6 to 8 months anyway. So I think London is a fan and a diehard fan, like angst piece. I really do. And that's okay if it is. That's you be you. I'm just thinking the taxpayer side of this is really the one that they've got to, that's why they're huddling. Like they're huddling the next 5 whatever times to explain the taxpayer side of this, the benefits of it, why it needs to happen. Here's what's going to happen. The lease part of it, all that stuff. They're not huddling to explain London.
Right.
I don't think.
I wish they would.
Well, they will get those questions. They will get
tomorrow night at Mandarin at 6 o'clock, by the way.
Cool.
And is that at Mandarin High School?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they have a few more. You can see them on actionnewsjax.com. But
do you think fans will, appreciate in a sense the fact that it used to be a $2 billion deal because they had all that money set aside for the East Side, and now it's 1.25? Like, do you think fans will at least, the fans that will get, all ticked off about the taxpayers who are not diehard fans will be like, all right, well, I at least see the progress of how they tried to make this a little bit better or a little bit cheaper, because a couple months ago you were telling me it was $2 billion and that it might be a 50-50 split, so taxpayers are on the hook for $1 billion, and now I might only be on the hook for about $600.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it helps.
Right.
Right? I mean, it can't hurt. I mean, try to sell $1 billion investment to the city and taxpayers, or 625. I mean, that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know what that means, like dollar by dollar, and I'm sure we'll break that down on Action News Jax. But I think that's pretty significant. I mean, that's I don't want to paint this as a discount of sorts, right?
Right.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, I once spent like $400 in the school store at Ashland because there was a 50% sale.
Come on.
It's like I saved 50%. No, you still spent $400.
Correct.
I learned that lesson.
Back when you had to buy books?
Yeah. So it's like you got to be a little careful with that. But I think there's two sides of that. First of all, the money is lessened, right? And then Shad's investment is more. And as Ben, which maybe he'll jump on with us too, is saying the significant piece that lost there from $2 billion to $1.4 billion was the development outside the stadium. They basically said, hey, we're going to focus on the stadium here first, and then we'll get to that part down the road. And that's where the negotiations went a little bit swifter, I think, with Mike Weinstein and the mayor's office and everybody else, when they lost that piece and said, okay, let's take care of this first.
Right.
And then that's where the first cut in the overall expenditure there took place. But I do think this was thought to be a $1.4 billion still.
Right.
And now down to 1.25. And then I think the split at 50-50. I don't know once it went down to 1.4 billion if it was planned to be 50-50 right from the jumper that had been reported on. But again, we'll get some of these answers tonight. And the bottom line is this, guys, to me. It's super significant. And now the Jags and the city, which we thought were on the same page in trying to get something done, which is pretty apparent because they're presenting it tonight. Now they have to educate people and convince city council, who represents a lot of their constituents in Duval, and that has to pass through. And so I guess the next phase of this after tonight will be the education, the transparency, the communication of it, and then eventually city council making it happen, which I believe is going to happen. Like there's nothing. I always equate this, and I know it's a more significant thing, but I equate this to when we had conversations on a football side for Josh Allen. It was like there was nothing in my mind that said Josh Allen wasn't going to get an extension. He wasn't going to play on the tag the whole time.
Sure.
He was going to get it. Mm-hmm. Well, in my opinion, this deal is going to get done. How it gets done, when it gets done, how much friction there is to get done.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's more than just convincing Josh Allen. You're convincing
that's true.
A bunch of people with different personalities, different belief systems, all this stuff. And when you have that, and like to echo you, Brent, transparency is everything. And I think, whether these reports are coming out, a lot of people may be turned off to this idea. You're not off to a good start. Let's call a spade, not off to a good start. So you have to be transparent. You have to answer all the questions and not give any of this political ribble rabble. No, you have to be upfront with people, because the last thing people want to do is be taken for a ride or feel like, I don't really trust what's going on here. I'm not, that's simple as that. That's human nature. So you need complete transparency. You have to answer every single question right, and hopefully people accordingly will follow along and vote for this whole thing to get done.
Yeah,
it's easy for you to say, yeah, it's getting done. Easy for me to say, yeah, it's getting done.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
We aren't the people that are making that decision.
No, they gotta figure that out. And I will listen. I give. I think the Jags have been very honest about their Lot J stuff, and transparency needed to be part of it. And they've made this a very transparent process. Going back a year, they had these huddles going on a year prior. They've got them coming up again. Is that enough? I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying at least they're trying to be the transparent side of things and do their part. And now we'll see where it goes from here. But very big day, obviously, in Jacksonville. And I do caution a little bit. We live on social media so much. And so social media is not the whole city of Jacksonville. There's more to it. Whether people agree or disagree or people's opinions, I don't think they necessarily shape the entire area's opinions. I say this all the time about a sports topic or about a topic like this, where it's like you can take 10 people on social media and you can take these comments or people that jump in our show and we interact every day. And then you can go to Publix and take 10 people in there and you might get two totally different vantage points.
Of course.
And I think in this case especially, I think that really rings true. Which I think we're going to. I think our people here, and I don't know what the chat's saying right now, but I think London's going to be the bigger side of it, or at least the one that's capturing like your eyeballs.
Well,
whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah,
right?
I think so too. Because whether it's 10 people on Twitter or 10 people that you see on Publix, you ask them, "Hey, how do you feel about the Jaguars playing 2 home games in London?" 9 out of those 10 people, I guarantee, are going to be like, "We don't like it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I fully agree with the Publix side of that.
Okay.
I don't know. I've never done it. Maybe I should.
I mean, I think it would be hard to call yourself a fan of this team and be like, yeah, it's cool. You guys can go to 2 away games. It's all good, and count those as a home game.
I think even the non-fans, it wouldn't even make sense to them. Like, what? Why?
Yeah,
why are the Jags playing 2 games in England?
And once again, it would be different if it's 1 away, 1 home game, because I think that can make sense, revenue, all that stuff. But when you start talking about every 4 years, whatever the case may be, of 2 home games, I think people got a problem with that. Whether they're in the echo chamber of Twitter or whether it's maybe an older generation at Publix.
Anything else we got from? Those are the 2 the headlines. Obviously, with specific dollars, those are big headlines in specific nature. One other, I do think if you don't know this, the league now requires everybody to play an international game once every 4 years. Mm-hmm. So that part, really, the outlier here is still the Jags playing annually in London, the 1 home game. The once every 4 years is not the outlier, right? So I think that's pretty significant too. But those were the 2 major details of it, right?
Yeah. For sure.
So more with Ben Becker and the rest of the Action News Jax crew coming up tonight on Action News Jax at 5 o'clock, because that's really the time frame. We'll carry a lot of that stuff and have kind of the play-by-play and the reaction and instant reaction tonight with actionnewsjax.com and on CBS 47 and Fox 30. And we're not done yet. We'll get to some of your comments as well about the stadium and what else is expected, because I still think there are a lot of other questions about the stadium tonight. Like, and will we get all those answers? In terms of what was a sticking point? Is it just the money side that's a sticking point? Was London a sticking point? Is there other things? The lease part of this is obviously a very important part of this from a stability standpoint. I think you guys talked about that a little bit yesterday too. But there are a lot of other questions around the stadium. What I really like to know too, guys, and I think people, you see those renderings for over a year, right? We have this vision now because we've seen that same video or picture. Well, now you went from $2 billion to $1.4 billion to 1.25. I'm sorry, 1.4 million to 1.25. No, I was right. 1.4 billion to 1.25 billion. Does that change some of the stadium side of it? Now we know it's changing outside the stadium. Less palm trees.
Yeah.
I think people have had an issue with that over the years too, right? When first presented with some of the renderings, this doesn't look as complete like it was. Well, I think the dollars will certainly or could change that.
Scale back on those new bathrooms.
I think there was a thought that Gainesville will be the place that they play in 2027.
I didn't see that in.
I think we had that. I thought, or I thought I saw that somewhere, but which is if that's the case, that'd be interesting because I thought Orlando would be the place.
Yeah.
So that side of it, I still think is either to be determined, to be worked on, or if we get some details on that, I think that's another one that's really going to catch the attention of fans.
Sure.
Right? Where is that 2027 season? And what does 2026 look like? Does it look like what's been reported, which is limited capacity?
Right.
What time is this? Is it called a town hall? What would you call it?
5 o'clock.
It's a presentation at City Hall.
Okay.
At 5.
At 5 o'clock? All right.
The mayor and Mark Lamping, president of the Jags, will present it together.
And then there'll be a Q&A after.
City Council.
All right, cool. I'm going to be there to ask about Beyonce.
Yeah, so...
Austin Lane for the Brent Austen Show. Beyonce. So we doing this, Don, or what's up? Come on.
If you refer
Mrs.
to her,
Deegan?
okay.
I'll call her Mrs. Deegan.
Okay.
Is it Miss Deegan? Whatever.
Mayor Deegan.
Okay, Mayor Deegan, yeah. Mr. Lamping.
Hey, how about jumping on some football stuff? The schedule is the big deal tomorrow, right? And we've got the Packers and the Niners on Monday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got some leaks. Do you like so far what's come out?
No, absolutely not. Jaguars, Titans, Thursday Night Football. Get that out of here, Brent. We're all set.
Has that been leaked out?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Week
little
2,
bit.
Amazon Prime.
Really?
First Thursday night game, yeah.
Calvin Ridley revenge game.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't see that. No, I haven't seen a lot. I've been occupied here.
Of course.
But
that's just, once again, it's just a rumor.
But that's a leak. So the leak is there still the Thanksgiving leak?
I mean, that hasn't disappeared.
Yeah, it's still out there.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's not like we have paper towels to mop that one up.
But the
It's still
NFL has
leaking.
announced the opener, of course, with the with the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Right.
And then now Monday night this morning was announced with San Fran and the Jets.
Yeah.
And the other game was the Brady debut game, really, with the Browns and whoever's playing on that Sunday.
By the way,
on Fox.
And I get all this because it's the NFL, so you're trying to make this as big as possible, but leaking game by game to Adam Schefter, then he's dropped. Just put out the schedule.
They're taking care of their partners right now.
Cool.
Right?
No, Hamby?
When you're releasing an album,
Yeah. Oh, I know how it works.
you drop a couple singles.
Okay, but this isn't. We're not trying to release a Grammy-winning album. We're releasing a schedule that comes out every single year. All right. This isn't a Taylor Swift album, Hamby. This is something that comes out every single year. So just put it out. Let us, digest it, and let's go about our lives.
So I'll say on the Titans Jags week 2, when I first saw it, I wasn't that thrilled, but then I remember okay, if we were to get that and the Lions on Thanksgiving, I want a Sunday night game. Probably not going to get a Monday night game, but
probably not.
At the same time, I'm pretty content with 2 primetime games, just because, as Jags fans, we can't get ahead of ourselves. There were so many years where we didn't even get 1. Or if we did, they threw us a bone on a Thursday night. At least if we get 2, week 2 against the Titans is not my favorite. But if I'm getting 2 primetime games, I'd be okay.
Yeah, I don't. We hate the Titans Jags game.
It's just because it's so played out. But at the same, I guess I should because it's such a big rival. Yeah, it would be.
It's home.
Well, because they said, because usually they switch, right? So I forgot what the explanation was, but when the schedule comes out, they usually switch the home and away from how it went out last year, how it shook out last year.
I see.
So it should be a home game.
Okay.
I saw hosting Texans week 1 in a league.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if the league starts off with division and ends with division. That's become prominent. So that shouldn't be that outside the box. What I think is interesting, if the Jags, that means they would host potentially 2 games to start. And what else is interesting is if it is a Thursday night game, they're playing that outside the heat of the day, in September, which actually would make some sense. Because I get the Jags and the heat is an advantage, but I still.
How many times?
I've seen their home record.
How many times do I have to explain this to you that playing games in September at home when it's 85, 90 degrees is an advantage?
I know. It is an advantage, but I'm thinking more about the fans here. The fans will like it.
Oh, I'm just trying to win,
on a
man.
Thursday
Hey,
evening.
I'm just trying to win, Brent.
Well, if you were just trying to win, then you wouldn't be so excited about that Thanksgiving Day game.
Why?
Because that's the hardest game on the schedule.
Brent,
Playing the Lions on Thanksgiving.
We just broke it down where the Lions have lost 7 straight Thanksgiving games. They haven't?
They have, actually.
Oh, okay.
Which means they're due. They scare me.
This is me sleeping on the Lions on Thanksgiving. I'm not buying into them. I'll do it.
Nice long nap after.
Oh, I'm going to take
turkey dinner.
you know that tryptophan kicking in from that turkey? I'll take a nap on the Lions that game.
All right, Hamby, what else you got? That's it?
You want to get into your night last night?
No.
You can't do it yet?
I mean, I can. You want to comment on what's your thoughts? Give me your outside thoughts. I'm too close to it. The bottom line is last night, Creekside lost in the regional finals 3-0 in 4.5 innings. The game got called because of rain. That's
It's stupid, huh?
Yeah.
That's dumb. I mean,
It's
call it like it is, Brent. That's stupid.
There's a lot of. I'm trying to take the high road.
No,
because-
don't, man. Dude, this is your. I mean, I'm not trying to like hype you up here, Brent. I'm not trying to be like your hype man. But like, I think of like being back in high school, like my final games and everything. If my final game would have ended on a technicality because of the rain, we had to call it like early. I'm not going to swear, but
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. The more you get away from it. Here's the thing. I'll just be honest with you. What bothers me right now more is I don't think like it was 3-0. First of all, it wasn't like it was 8-0. It was 3-0 game. And we like Creekside just hadn't played. We hadn't executed well to that point. So like we weren't like overmatched, but the other team had played better through the first 4 innings and 4+ innings. But it's high school baseball, and high school baseball can high school baseball. And what I'll end up saying, I mean, even Timber Creek, to their credit, they had played better to that point. They would not have been in that game if they didn't play a 6th or 7th inning on Friday night. They were down 3-1 going into the 6th inning. Came back and walked them off to get to that game. So that will just give you an idea of anything can happen in high school baseball, right? So, or anything can happen in sports, really. So yeah, I mean, they're a deserving winner, but the way it ends is kind of like just another thing for the FHSAA to get criticized for.
Yeah, I would not even be thinking about, we didn't even play well for the first 4.5 innings.
Yeah,
like, not one bit.
I'm trying to be real about it though.
No, but here's the thing: you won the regional semi. Okay, you earned 21 outs.
Yeah,
you earned 21 outs. You deserve 21 outs, and I don't care what the score was. You know, the only way you could really make an argument if it was 8, 9, 10 nothing. As long as it's semi-close, you earn 21 outs, you should get 21 outs. There's so many seniors on their team.
It's crazy, man.
Like, because that's where my mind immediately goes. Yeah, it sucks for everybody involved, but there are, I'm sure, a lot of seniors on Creekside or on anybody's team that aren't playing college baseball. Yeah. That was their last baseball game of their life, unless they want to go play beer league softball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's true.
For it to end and you didn't get 21 outs, it's not necessarily even that's not fair, because that's not even really that much of an argument, because it's just like every other game that every other regional final their team got 21 outs.
Yeah.
Every game that you've played so far this season, every baseball game you played in high school, you got 21 outs unless it was a run rule.
Yeah. So who's running this? Like, is this Spirit Airlines running this? Oh, it's an act of God. You're not getting. Sorry. Tough luck. Have fun getting home. My bad.
There's just so much that goes in the FA again.
I would be on the doorstep, bat in hand, seeking the kneecaps, not the head.
Easy.
Not the kneecaps are going down.
This is my kid, man. I'll tell you what, Brent, this is my kid.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
Listen, the FHSAA, there's a lot. I will give you an example, and this is the defense of why not to do it. Last night, I think down in Southeast Florida, I think it was that region. There was a big delay. Team was down 3-0. Other side of the delay, they come back and win 13-3.
Exactly.
So, like, there were 2 delays in this game, but the point, and I will say that the field was unplayable. Like, you could not play last night. You'd have to go back today. And it's just a myriad of issues with the way it's done. Here's my overall. I'll do more on it. We have no gate fees tomorrow too, and Again, I'm so close to it right now, so I'm trying not to be. I got to take the high road a little bit, and I really do want to give those guys credit because I thought they outplayed Creekside for the first 4 innings of that game. So I think there is that, and they're a good team too. So hopefully they go represent pretty well. And I tweeted this. I felt bad for them. Like, to me, the moment so far for my kid and this team has been winning the district championship and dogpiling. That was a big moment. So the moment here, these are about moments. High school's not about raising a trophy as much as about moments, like things that you remember. Now, they'll never forget this either, but I think, like, even for those kids to make the last out, throw the gloves in the air, dogpile, like, that's a pretty significant moment. Like, those are good stuff. Now, they did go splish and splash in a puddle around shortstop after, so they got it kind of different, but they had to wait like a half hour. I mean, they were crowned like the champ while they were inside a gym.
Yeah.
I mean, they had left, and came back. So, like, it was, there's something, it just didn't, it fell off. It did feel off. The whole thing is, and it's just, listen, we tried to fix the FHSAA stuff with the rankings last week. They don't want to listen to anything. They get a lot of criticism. We weren't even talking about the rankings as much as the transparency, so there's that. Well, since then, there's other things. There's like, the softball stuff ends on a Texas tiebreaker now. Like, that's stupid. Why does softball do it? Baseball doesn't. Like, we'll play 11, 12, 13, 14 innings in baseball. We couldn't even get 7 in yesterday. Why do we not play a best out of 3? Like, the coach has been pushing for that for years, not just this year. That's been a thing for years and years. They do it in Georgia. There was a game last year, by the way. This all revolves around scheduling. Plant and somebody else played last year in the state semifinals. The state semifinals, the biggest game of these kids' lives. Last year, it started at midnight. Now, I think that's kind of cool for the kids, but it started at midnight to make sure they got the schedules in. You do that in travel baseball, right? They do that in Cooperstown. I'm not sure you should be doing that in the state championship series.
I had one of those at ESPN Wide World of Sports in the stadium.
Yeah. So you kind of remember.
You've been doing this crazy schedule your entire life.
Oh yeah, I was asleep. I forgot there was a game.
Yeah.
My teammate shows up knocking at the door because we were supposed to take him.
You were made for this.
My dad answers the door in his underwear.
Nice.
At 12 and says, "What the heck are you doing here, Cam?" He says, "We have a game." And then
playing at midnight, man.
We showed up under the lights. The game started at 1:15, and we dubbed 8-0.
Nice.
Here's I thought I was going to hold off on this, but I'll just do it a little bit.
I got him going.
Bigger, I'll give you the more egregious act, I think, by the FHSAA in this whole thing. It wasn't that they even played the game. It wasn't that the game was called because that's a rule that they make, and that's egregious enough. Whatever. We can go. I'll come with you on it. I think it was the fact that they played a regional semifinal on Friday and turned around and played a regional final on Monday. What happens if there was rain on Friday and you had to play Saturday? What does that do to the pitching? Because you need 2 days off for a lot of the pitching to rest. What happens if you played like 12, 13, 14 innings on Friday to get there and you burned your pitching and you couldn't rest your guys enough, and now you're playing in the most important game of the year with no pitching? Now, what they're trying to do is protect the number one guys pitching in every game.
Right.
But I'll give you the biggest part of this for me is if the regional final is Monday, now your biggest game of the year is Monday. Do you know what the FHSAA does not allow you to do? Practice on Sunday.
I talked about this.
You can't practice on Sunday before your biggest game of the season on Monday. Now, what are you doing in practice these days? I don't know, but I don't give a damn. Can you imagine not doing a walkthrough before the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you're not allowed to practice on Sundays.
But you can meet, you can meet.
Well,
like
I threw BP to the kids,
yeah,
4 of them down
like,
the field.
Sure,
but I'm just saying, you can get your work in.
Yeah,
but just think the idea of it. It's the concept of it, right? And all of this is to make sure you play at JetBlue Field on Friday, which I also think is a bunch of bull because you play in these great high school atmospheres, in the regional semis, in the regional quarters, in the district championship, in the regional finals at home fields. And then you go to JetBlue, which, by the way, every kid now plays in travel ball most of the time anyway. It's not a big deal. And it's a 10,000-seat stadium with 400 people in it that feels like nobody's at your game. Like you should be, I'd rather go play at home parks or a centralized location in some like neighborhood where everybody can come out to the game. And it's a big deal. I think the whole thing is set up goofy. But people have been saying that for years. And if you go, this is baseball. They'll say it in softball. They'll say it in football. They'll say it in basketball. Like, why? We have such good sports in Florida. Such good. Some of the best in the state. We care about it. We love it. We're too intense about it probably in the high school and youth sports realm. But, man, everybody else seems to do it better. Like, all you got to do is go up north to Georgia.
Yeah.
And Georgia pays them better. Georgia has better systems in place. Georgia does their playoffs better. Georgia's better. Like, have some ownership, FHSAA, and stop being second fiddle to Georgia. Like, you should be better than that, in my opinion. And there's just too many examples of them not being good enough. I think it's a hard gig. I think it's hard to make everybody good, right? It's a big state. I mean, this rule is probably in place because there are some people that have to drive 5 hours. And if you have to drive 5 hours to play, do you go back the next day? I mean, we just had to go 2. We could have done it. But the rule's probably in place for that. Like, I kind of understand the logistics.
Get a hotel or like
not everybody has the funds for. Like,
okay, then guess what? That's life. Then sometimes
I know.
Let your kid play. Like,
what I'm just trying to tell you is I don't know what the perfect answer is. I always try to come up with solutions. I think it's a hard thing to police, to monitor, to make it blanket for everybody. And maybe, like, what are they going to do tonight? We have an unbelievable game tonight in town. We have Bishop Snyder against Trinity Christian. Like, baseball-wise, this is going to be like an all-timer potentially around here. What are they going to do? Are they going to play? Are they going to try to play 4.5? Now, do they play because they're both in the same area? Will they come back tomorrow? Like, can you do that? Mm-hmm. Like, are there stipulations for that? I don't know all those details, but coaches, you guys got to make some tough calls today because, like, I know our girls' team's going down to Lake Brantley, and by the way, that was a half hour from where it monsooned. I hope if their field isn't in good shape and more rain coming in today, like I just tweeted earlier, either don't go or get the lead early.
What would the plan have been if you guys were tied?
And that's a great point, man. I joked a little bit today on Facebook. I said, would it be a Final 5 instead of Final 4? Do we both go? Or do we come back tomorrow? I don't know what they would have done there. That's a very good question. I don't know. I really don't know. What I don't believe is, by the way, some people have asked me this, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe it is a coin flip. It could be as stupid as that.
I honestly would not be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
Or they do the bet.
Or no, you know what? No, you know what happens?
Backyard baseball, baby. Let's go.
No, maybe the top seed goes.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe the top seed goes. Yeah. But I will say this, and I believe this. If Creekside was up yesterday 3-0, the same decision would have been made. Well, actually, it wouldn't have because we didn't finish the 5th. So in that respect, I think we would have had to finish the 5th. So, but I do think if the situation was similar, I don't think it had anything to do with them being home. Now, there were some other things that had things to do with them being home, in my opinion. but
home cooking?
But that's part of home field advantage, I guess, too. So there's a lot. Listen, there's a lot. But again, I don't think we should. One thing I don't think should get lost. Like Timber Creek's a really good baseball team. They were number 1 seed, had a really good year. They were winning that game. They had earned the right to be winning that game. And they might have still won the game. But I will go back to say, I just gave you 2 examples yesterday, of the last couple of days, where Timber Creek, if they didn't have the 6th and 7th inning, they wouldn't have been there. And Creekside would have been hosting Spruce Creek instead Monday. And then the other thing is there was an example of yesterday, down 3-0, delay, team comes back and wins 13-3, from what I've been told. So high school baseball can high school baseball, man. You know that. We've been around it long enough. So it's too bad. But I think it's not the winner and loser part of it. It's more of how it ends for people. You're really tied into it. You just said it, Austin, like your career ends. Mm-hmm. You said it. Great. Like not everybody's going to play college. Like that's the way it ends. And again, I do believe even for them, like that was a weird way to win. Mm-hmm. Hey, you win, you get another game. That's great. But I think if they lose and get beat by Stoneman Douglas, which is very possible, or something like that, or whoever won, then the moment they would remember is that dog pile on a regional final on their home field and winning. Now they'll remember it a little bit different for going a little mudsliding, I think, at shortstop. So, all right, thanks for getting me on it, Hamby. Appreciate it.
Good job, Hamby.
I'm going to save it till tomorrow. But
it's fresh.
It is fresh. It stings. It's fresh, but hats off to those guys for a good season. And good luck to everybody tonight. We'll talk a little bit about set the scene tonight and the weather seriously now. I think what this does is establish a little bit of precedent. I don't know how much this has happened. I had a buddy from North Carolina text me this morning, say it happened to them last year. They were on the bus, and the game got banged 5.5 innings in and couldn't do anything about it, right? And that's the way you lose. You lose on a bus, right? And one thing I did bring up, would they have called a football game after 3 quarters in this spot?
I don't know.
Like, if lightning came and stuff, and they couldn't get the game in or whatever else, storms, do they come back the next day? How do they do that?
I don't know. Yeah.
You just game over? Now, baseball has rules for that, right?
Okay.
Baseball has rules where, like, games are called after 4.5 innings in a 7-inning game or 5 innings in a 9-inning game. So there's precedent to it of rules. Like, there's a rule book that says it. I don't know about, like, a football game or something like that, if they would go back and play the next and finish it out. I don't know if that's ever happened.
It's Florida. It's had to happen.
Yeah, it'd be wild. I don't know.
It rains here.
It does rain here. And that's the other thing. They need to build some – it rains here in May.
Yeah.
Like, we need to know that we need to build a little bit of pad here somewhere along the way instead of tight schedules. All right, Hamby, thanks a lot, man, for getting me hot.
Good job, Hamby.
Good morning. Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. You don't look tired.
I'm good.
Yeah, I spilled my coffee in this rant. And we're just getting going on the stadium stuff. We're 40 minutes in. We haven't taken a commercial break.
There we go.
Hey, just to let you know, yesterday when I was running stuff, we were every 30 minutes, Kim, tell him.
Oh, that's not what I heard this morning.
Running a real, what you didn't hear?
That's not what I heard.
Oh, I was running a real tight ship. Kim, was I not?
Yeah. I had to remind you a couple times, but
I mean,
hey.
We're talking jelly roll yesterday and crazy old ladies.
I miss jelly roll.
You like jelly roll?
How can you not like jelly roll?
I'm done. All right. Well, it's been a fun show, Brent. I'm going to go home.
You mean like the artist?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I love jelly rolls. The donut. Yeah, who doesn't like a jelly roll donut?
You don't like Jelly Roll the artist?
I don't really know of him.
Are you serious?
Brent
Seriously.
likes him because he testified on Congress.
Yeah, I don't really know much about him.
That's a great story.
Yeah, me and Sesnick were in here just clueless to what was going on.
Really?
Yes, I know it's a great story, Brent. I heard the story 25 times yesterday. Yeah, he fell in hard times, did some jail time, then he turned his life around.
Really can sing, man. He's talented.
Yeah, I know. I saw a 15-year-old girl cry at his concert, and also a 50-year-old biker who has been through some stuff, let's just say, and he was crying too because he had a sign that said, "I'm like 5 years sober."
He's impacted people, man.
Yes, I know, Brent. He's the Ted Lasso of country music. Thank you. We established this yesterday. Go back and listen. Hey, why don't you go back and check it out on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 stream?
Yeah, we will. We can absolutely do that. And by the way, I could use an actual jelly roll from like Dunkin' or somebody because like last night I was just throwing stuff in my face.
Oh yeah.
After a stop at Buc-ee's.
Stress eating.
Emotions.
Stress
eating. It was a quiet ride home.
Yeah, stress eating for sure.
Stress eating. It was a stress eating.
Oh, I'm a bad stress eater, man.
It wasn't good.
Yeah,
I got like cookies and other. I'm like buying up Buc-ee's last night on the stop.
Too bad you can't like stress eat like salads and stuff. You know, like whenever I stress eat, I'm like tortilla chips or like something crunchy.
Man. All right, Hamby, thanks for stopping by, man. We'll follow this story and go get some sleep, will you?
I'll try. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. We'll take a break. Brent Austen Show rolls on. And jump in on stadium. Jump in on schedule. Jump in on the FHSAA. Let's hear your stories as well. We do have no gate fees tomorrow, and I think it will be a topic. Probably even get into it more than I just got into it. But I really don't want to come into it from a sour grape standpoint. So let's go all around the story, okay? There's a lot of ways to look at it. And that will be presented by Nimnick Buick GMC tomorrow. That's part of our Wednesday lineup at 2 o'clock. But the big story today is the stadium. More on that, more on the schedule, and more to come on the Brent Austen Show. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jax team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
On Saturday, the Jacksonville Armada FC men's U23s opened their home schedule, and they did it in style with an 8-0 thrashing of Global Soccer Pathways. Leading the way for the Fleet was newcomer Oliver Moeller-Jensen, scoring the first 2 goals on the evening and completing the hat trick in the first minute of the second half. The boys in blue will be right back on the field at Southern Oak Stadium on Saturday night at 7 p.m., hosting Naples United FC with a live broadcast on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. The Armada women's team is making its debut at the same time as they hit the road to FC Prime in Fort Lauderdale. Head coach David Goff's squad will be home the following week on Saturday, May 25th at 5 p.m., also on the campus of Jacksonville University. Tickets for both the men's and women's teams are available at jacksonvillearmada.com, with free attendance all summer for those who make a season ticket reservation for the MLS Next Pro debut in 2025.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability. Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part? They did it in one day. It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Well, there's a look at that schedule for the Jags, and it's coming out tomorrow, of course, as the NFL is starting to leak some things about the schedule and set everybody's fall calendar up. I mean, gosh, what a week it is around here. It's a crazy week in my world specifically, but a crazy week in probably everybody's world to get the schedule set, the stadium deal. I think that brings some emotions out as well as we talk about some of these topics around the stadium deal. And important to note, by the way, on the stadium stuff that you go to actionnewsjax.com and get the latest from Ben Becker. He's all over that story early on before it even actually does get revealed publicly tonight to everybody else. But we're starting to piece, I guess, a little bit of that. Have you seen any other leaks on the Jags? I mean, Thanksgiving and that Thursday night, or is that about it? Hamby said Houston to open.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I have seen the Thursday night Tennessee one. Yeah, but once again, these are just rumors.
Yeah, those are rumors.
We can't
like
take it with a grain of salt.
It's so funny how many times I get asked about the schedule, and my tact is a little bit different. Like, I don't need to know before they tell us because I don't necessarily believe all the leaks.
Yeah.
Not to say the leaks aren't true. They're probably pretty accurate. I mean, there's no doubt people have the schedule.
Sure.
So you can get it. But, I'm still not convinced, although I should be, that the Jags are playing the Lions on Thanksgiving, even though that's a hot rumor. Like, that's a hot leak. Or is it just one leak and everybody's running with it?
I mean, that's kind of way the internet works sometimes, so I feel like that's probably what it is. I'm just saying I hope it's going to be on Thanksgiving because I'm trying to plan a trip already with it.
Yeah. Well, I think
maybe
now
go see a Wings game too when I'm there. Like, come on.
And that's kind of what's interesting about that, man, is that now we get to a point on some of the stories that happen that people get ahead of that now we think it's happening. Like I just told somebody, the word is like it's probably going to be Thanksgiving. And if it doesn't come out that way on Wednesday, we'll be like, what the hell?
I'll be disappointed.
They changed it.
I'll be disappointed. Yes. I'll be disappointed for sure. Yeah, it makes you wonder like if that was the plan, but then it got leaked, so now we're gonna like show them and like change it around. Like you never know.
I like the comment here. A-Trade about to nap on y'all. Yeah, when we're talking about the high school baseball.
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't myself when I had a dog in the fight. Him. Yeah, well, it wasn't for me, and that's okay.
But he actually brought up a really good point on the high school stuff.
Oh yeah, man. I can fake it till I make it. It's all good.
Somebody brought up a really good point about that game last night. It is totally different, but some people actually, some people who had lived through it said it was maybe even worse. It was the pandemic. That happened to a bunch of kids and everybody during the pandemic when they were like 8 games into their season and it was over.
True.
There's no finality to it. So that was a totally different situation, of course, but one that we've actually seen a little bit more recently. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, and one other high school note, by the way. This in from the FHSAA Board of Directors meeting to discuss the NIL, and the report out of there is no vote is coming today. So that's the other thing. Great. Can't wait till the FHSAA has to decide on NIL. We're hammering them pretty good.
But I'm not gonna lie. When you said we have another thing from the FHA, I thought it was just gonna be a big old suck it. By the way, breaking news on regards of the game last night being. Because that's what it seems like, honestly. But
I think a lot of people would like to say that, but I try to take a higher road than that.
I'll say it all day, Brent. You know me. Freelancer, man.
Did you? What was your reaction, by the way, to the Ravens and Chiefs game to open the season? Are those going to be the 2 teams to beat in the AFC?
I mean, it's
or do you like somebody else?
I mean, I think they're definitely the front runners. Yeah. I mean, I like those 2 teams over everybody else. I mean, the Jets, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, could be interesting. But I just think in terms of roster, in terms of what we've seen the past couple of years, you got to like the Ravens and the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel, and I shouldn't feel this way, but I'm just going to be honest with you the way I feel about the Chiefs. I don't feel they're very I don't feel roster-wise they're as good as those kind of teams.
They're not.
The Ravens are better and everything else. It's
agreed.
Just, we're getting to the point, though, that we're putting Reed and Mahomes on this, it doesn't matter pedestal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying they haven't earned it. I'm just saying, that's where we're at. It's not like we think the Chiefs are loaded.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you go back to last year even, I was like, okay, they kind of lost some players. I'm not buying into the Chiefs, and they kind of got a little slow off the gate. They were around 500, and then obviously towards the end of the year, they picked it up. It's just at this point, regardless of what the roster looks like, regardless of injuries, regardless of their backs against the wall, I'm not going to count out Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's to the point where it doesn't matter who he's throwing to.
Yeah.
Valdez-Scantling, okay. Is he still on the team? I don't think he's gone now, right?
I think somebody said he's going to sign somebody today. Where did I just see that? 1-year deal with the Bills.
Okay.
Now, Rashee Rice, he's got all sorts of issues. Probably going to be suspended, right?
Well, at least,
Certainly
he's going through some more stuff now. Yeah, he just kicked a reporter, supposedly, allegedly.
Was there an issue last night with the kicker?
I didn't see
Did
that.
I see that? I'll check on it.
Okay.
Kelsey signs a 2-year deal. He's going to finish there, but he definitely looked a little slower at times last year, right?
Yeah.
They lose Snead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It doesn't matter, Brent.
I know, but it's just like the Ravens are better.
Correct. Yes. They have Derrick Henry now.
And see, here's the difference for me. The Patriots, when they did this, when we would just be like, okay, yep, Patriots. Because. And again, that was good reason. I mean, they went to like 9 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
in a 20-year span or whatever it was. So, like, there was good reason. But I think the difference there, Austin, and is their division. Their division was not good. So, like, there was nobody you could see catching them.
Okay.
Are the Chargers with Harbaugh going to be that?
Give them
the
some time.
Raiders in Denver? See, right now it doesn't feel like that, so it's easy to say, okay, Chiefs are the kings of the West.
Sure.
But we also, when we had the Patriots, we had like Peyton Manning and an occasional like team that felt like they were going to contend. Maybe it was Baltimore. Maybe it was Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have these number of teams. I mean, we think the Bills could still be good. The Ravens, good. Houston, good. I mean, where's Cleveland in that? Where's Cincinnati? I mean, there's just so many teams that you and maybe the team that is the best team on paper is the New York Jets.
Sure. And I get, you maybe play in a little bit of an easier division than a lot of teams, but last year, like, you still had to go to Buffalo, win at Buffalo. You still had to go to Baltimore, win at Baltimore. Like, you still earned it.
Oh, they earned every bit of it.
Yeah.
They earned every bit of it. And they proved that. They
yeah.
checked that they could win away from home.
So maybe you get some easier games every once in a while, but man, like, you still proved, like, you still earned your stripes with that road, those road victories against Buffalo and Baltimore. And it just goes to show you there's great quarterbacks in the league, and then there's the best quarterback in the league. And Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. And once you have the best quarterback and probably the best play caller in the league, you can make up for a lot of things on your roster.
Yeah, you can.
And obviously a defense that has your back as well.
Yeah, and their defense, I think, is going to be good. I think that what's interesting about the Chiefs, and the Patriots, I think, ran into this at times. Yes, they have those two guys, but they started to get some – their other stars are aging. And Chris Jones and again, I'm not saying they're done. I'm just saying they're aging, Kelsey and Jones. And what aging always is a red flag for me because, okay, they can still bring it, but when is the boom? When's the fall off the cliff? Like, we feel like maybe it's not fall off the cliff, but like a guy like DeAndre Hopkins is a different player than he was 3 years ago, right? I mean, he still can put up numbers and stuff, but he's different dynamic.
Yeah.
Chris Jones and Kelsey can still help you, but a different dynamic. Will they slow enough? And then you're just like, okay, Patrick Mahomes can't do it all by himself. We'll find that out. We'll find that out if you're a more well-rounded team.
I just think that there's some quarterbacks, Brent, in the league where it doesn't matter who you're throwing. And I get, yes, Travis Kelce still helps, right? Like, Travis Kelce's still a game record. I get he looked slow a little bit last year, but he's still one of the best tight ends in the league. Make no mistake about it. But there's a few quarterbacks out there that it doesn't matter who you have, who you're throwing to, what the run game looks like. You're just going to elevate everybody around you. I think Tom Brady obviously had that effect with the receivers that he had. Aaron Rodgers at times had that effect with sometimes the receivers he had. Now he had Devontae Adams, towards the end, but Aaron Rodgers is a good example of this, and I think Patrick Mahomes is a prime example of this, where, yeah, go ahead and reload in the draft, and I get it. Like, it's going to be hard to replace Kelsey one day when he's done, but one would think, all right, just keep building on the draft. Hopefully you get guys that can actually stick with the team, like Rashee Rice. We'll see with him, but you build in the draft, you get speed, and Kelsey or then Mahomes will get you the ball.
All right, I got another NFL storyline. I think this happened after your show. Jared Goff was given a $212 million contract, like $53 million a year. How does that impact the Jags and Trevor Lawrence? Does it? I mean, does it fall in line with that? It's kind of similar because $53 million a year for Goff. It was kind of what we've had these discussions. We showed like all the different contracts. This is now the most recent one, but it didn't overtake the Joe Burrow one.
Yeah.
Is that just because he's a little higher in age? Is that because of resume? Or is that because you can slot in there, you don't have to reset every time you sign a new deal?
No, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, where age is a factor for sure, and also accomplishments. Like Jared Goff, I think, is a great quarterback, but he has been to a Super Bowl under a Sean McVay system, but one would say that Joe Burrow, I think, kind of willed his team more to that Super Bowl. So that's where he falls. I'm not surprised by it. So, like, with this being said now, what does that make him? He's the third highest paid quarterback? Or
I think he would drop. I think he's
getting
annually
what per year?
53. So I think annually he's second.
Well, okay. Yeah, annually he's second. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not in total value or anything.
Yeah, total value. Okay. So, yeah, I mean that's the cost of doing business now. And Brock Purdy will eventually get his, and we'll see where Trevor Lawrence falls in the mix as well. I mean, one would think that if Trevor Lawrence's deal does get done this year, and if I'm Trevor's people, it's going to be higher than Goff, correct?
Yeah, I think. I mean, in total value, it definitely will be. It's a 4-year extension, so it will be bigger, but I wonder if the annual rate, and again, I don't know which one's, to the player, the guaranteed money matters the most, right?
Mm-hmm. I would say so.
The overall value matters to some degree, probably for the agent and just the whole piece of it. And then I think what we look at, because there's so much semantics in a deal, that I think we look at the annual and what that number looks like. And it's the easiest way to scoreboard without big numbers. It's $55 million for Burrow. It's $53 million now for Goff. It's $52.5 million for Lamar Jackson. It's $52.5 million for Justin Herbert. Like, to me, that's the best way to measure it. And I think when we did this last, it came in at, we thought, probably right ahead of the Herbert deal and the Lamar deal, because it's the latest deal, but not as high as the Burrow deal. And that's why I thought this was pretty interesting on Goff, because I think that's where they put it. Mm-hmm. They said, okay, the resume is not as good as the Burrow and remake the market and reset the market, but it's pretty damn good. And this is the cost of doing business. So it's a combination of resume, cost of doing business. And so that's why I think it sits at 53. I think Trevor's going to fall there. But the only thing that makes me hesitate on that is, do they want to make it the richest deal because he's a younger player than Goff? I mean, he's some 5 years younger than Jared Goff, and maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe his agent wants to be the highest paid. Maybe Trevor wants to be the highest paid. Maybe the Jags want to make him the highest paid, at least for a minute. I don't know if it directly impacts Trevor, but I do think there is some impact, because I thought that it could slot at 53. Mm-hmm. And so this is just another baseline to say, hey, a year later, it's still just 53.
Yeah.
The calendar didn't move the baseline or the market more than $500,000 basically per year.
Well, and yeah, for sure. And could Jared Goff got more in terms of average salary per year? Possibly, but I also think, like, as a quarterback, like, hey, we got to pay Amon-Ra still. So, like,
well, they just paid everybody.
Well,
did they
pay Amon-Ra?
Yeah, and they paid
so everyone's
Sewell.
short up. Okay,
they paid all their guys.
Okay, my bad then. Okay, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is the fact that I feel like a lot of quarterbacks take this into account, where I can be the highest paid quarterback on a year average salary, whatever the case may be, but then is that taken away from my other teammates that I could possibly get paid to as well?
Yeah, you've got to factor that in.
Yeah.
And I think Trevor will again, this is, I think it's a bit semantics, because we think it's going to probably put in the same ballpark. It's going to be a rich deal whenever it gets done. But I thought the Goff thing was pretty interesting. And how about what the Lions have done? I mean, sheesh, they've spent a lot of money this offseason, because they did St. Brown, they did Sewell, they might have done somebody else too, and I can't remember. Maybe it was a guy in the secondary. I don't know. But then they just did Goff.
Well, and it's wild too, because you got the feeling that when that trade went down, that Goff was going to be a placeholder.
You really did.
And then I think you put a lot of great pieces around him. He flourished, and he showed that he's not just a coach-friendly quarterback system type of guy. Like, I think he can go out there and lead teams and win ball games.
I think it's a fascinating trajectory for a guy like Goff. But should we be warned as maybe fans? Because fans get on this way more than I think even personnel. Because the reason why personnel changes quarterbacks so much or doesn't stick with a guy or doesn't show patience is because of the heat of the fans. But should the fans be a little bit more patient with quarterbacks given now the Goff situation and even a Baker Mayfield situation of what we've seen?
I mean, yes, but also I think you have to take into account that environment and situation matters. You know, like would Jared Goff have won a Super Bowl with the Rams? I mean, he would have had a lot of great players to play with, but who knows? Like at that moment, yes, Matthew Stafford was the better quarterback. Simple as that. And Matthew Stafford got his quarterback. You know, he got a Super Bowl. So, like in terms of the trade that went down, like I feel like both sides won. You know, because because the Rams are still like I get Stafford has some injuries, but like he's on the back nine of his career.
Well, and they won.
And that's the most important thing. So both sides really won that. I just think, Brent, where especially at the quarterback position, it's about who you have, in terms of the players around you to throw to, but also just the environment that you find yourself in. And I think like Dan Campbell and Jared Goff may have been a match made in heaven. Maybe Dan Campbell gave Jared Goff a little bit more confidence in terms of, dude, you're a leader out here. Go show them what you got. Because it felt, once again, this is just my 2 cents. It felt like it was Sean McVay's show.
It did.
In the Rams.
Yeah.
And Jared Goff was just, I don't want to call him a pawn, but it was Sean McVay pushing the buttons and Jared Goff just, abiding by that. In Detroit, you've seen Jared Goff step up as a leader. And then you've seen his teammates now speak very highly of him and follow him. And that could be a lot too with Dan Campbell. So I just think sometimes situation is everything playing the quarterback position.
Yeah, well, I do. I think it's not just quarterback position. I think it's a lot of positions, but you're right. I think it's a fair question, though, there's two things. I think these are two really good examples of quarterbacks that were kind of given up on as top picks and then have delivered, have come around. And Mayfield hasn't to the point of Goff, but even Stafford had bought himself so much time anyway because he was so good statistically. You could see the talent. It was more like, hey, the Lions aren't good. I think people understood that overall. But even him getting better and better as he goes and then winning the Super Bowl later on, I wonder if it gives us a little caution about the class that we just threw to the curb. The Max, the Zachs, the Justins, Trey Lances of the world that we just said, you guys suck. We're done with you. You can't get it done. And Goff and Mayfield might be a little bit, hey, you might have to put them in different spots, but I wouldn't give up on them.
No, but at the same time, I think that and I like Baker Mayfield a lot, but if Baker Mayfield would have decided to go to New Orleans over Tampa Bay, we're probably not talking about him right now.
That's true.
Keep in mind, I get Baker Mayfield did really well in Tampa, but they also are pretty loaded at the receiver position. You're talking about a team the previous year where Jameis threw for 33 touchdowns in Tampa Bay. So you're Baker Mayfield. You leave Cleveland where you had a couple things. You go to Tampa Bay where it's all right, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Yeah, and a pretty quarterback-friendly offense. Let's go.
Yeah, but from that position, Austin, I get it. There's some of that. You're still got to do other things. You got to lead, right? You got to instill confidence. You've got to have an aura about you. He was able to do that to Tampa. They believed in him.
I hear you, but once again, I think Jalen Ramsey. I think Jalen Ramsey goes anywhere, he's going to have success.
Yeah, true.
I think at the quarterback position, it has to deal with culture, it has to deal with coaching, it has to deal with the players that you play with. I think it's drastically different. And I think Baker Mayfield found himself in a great situation, and more power to him, man. He proved a lot of people wrong. I'm happy for him. But also, you're in a pretty quarterback-friendly team.
Okay, let me ask you this again, though. What would Justin Fields do this year with the offense that Chicago has compiled?
A lot better than they did last year. Yeah, because of situation.
Yeah. And by the way, see, he's a good example because I think he's shown some signs. I think him and Mac are Trey and Lance and Zach Wilson are tough because they haven't shown anything. Even over time, Baker Mayfield had shown a little bit here or there, right? Mm-hmm. And Goff had obviously shown stuff. Those guys haven't, but Mac Jones has. Mac Jones has shown some things, the ability to win games, the ability to have some success in the league, even if it's short, but had success. Justin Fields, I think at times, there are weeks where you're like, hey, this guy's an MVP candidate when he was playing for Chicago.
Sure.
And there were times oh no. But he's in Pittsburgh, so he's in such a good spot to maybe be that next guy like a Goff, where he goes and gets better and delivers and is able to kind of reverse his career, which is what they're hoping for. If they keep him, they didn't pick up his fifth-year option, but I think that part's interesting. One last hindsight game. And you might have answered it, but let me phrase it to you this way. Jared Goff stays in L.A. Matthew Stafford stays in Detroit. Are the organizations in the same spot?
No.
So no Super Bowl for the Rams, even though he had been there to one. And the Lions wouldn't be on the rise?
No, I'm not saying that Jared Goff would win another Super Bowl. That very well could have been, possibly. Not sure if you win it. But also, the reason why the Lions became the Lions is because, all the draft picks that they got from Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
You know, who they turned that into. I forgot who all the players were, but they've had some pretty good drafts.
So,
the Lions.
So really the Lions, I mean, that's a good point. I kind of forgot about that element of it. They were able to stack up some more for the Rams, where the Rams just were giving away first-round picks like it was going out of style for years and years to come. And I forget the compensation part of it. Some of that was dollars related because Stafford was getting paid so much, if I remember correctly. But, in many respects, Goff could be one of the biggest moves the Lions ever made in their franchise. Which is crazy because they actually had a better quarterback. I mean, Stafford, everybody would list Stafford above Goff, even now.
Yeah. So the Lions, when they traded for Jared Goff, the Lions also received, it would have been 3 picks. It would have been a 2021 third-round pick, a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2023 first-round pick.
Wow. And what they did with that is get guys like maybe it's Jahmyr Gibbs or whoever last year. I mean, they really, I don't know who they cashed in on those other ones.
So, I'm looking it up right now. Okay, so the third-round pick 2021 was Iafetu Melifonwu, and he's been a disappointment. He's been hurt. The first-round pick 2022 would have been Jameson Williams, who, sorry, and then Jahmyr Gibbs.
So really, they're kind of as of now, kind of more like 1 for 3 on that.
Kinda,
but
yeah.
But it wasn't just that. They got rid of some of the salary, right, for Stafford, I believe, at the time. And now Goff still came with a decent price tag.
Okay, but then the Lions traded with the Cardinals. And then they got more picks from that one pick. So they took. So it's super complicated. That's why it's so hard to read.
Yeah,
here.
There's a bunch of
because
corresponding moves.
Because they traded the 12th pick overall to Arizona, and then they got the 34th pick, the 168th overall pick. So it's a lot to take in.
But how unusual? This should go down as one of the most unusual things that ever happened in sports. How unusual it is that you trade away an MVP candidate, Pro Bowl, now Super Bowl winning quarterback. And it's the best thing that happened to your franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other sports. I think that can happen in baseball. I'll give you an example, just kind of one that hits home. I loved Nomar Garciaparra as a kid, man, or even a young adult. I loved him. But they traded him away, and it was part of the deal that helped them get some of their pieces to the World Series.
Yeah.
That made them, it's oh, no, I love Nomar, but, and I feel like that's just an example of it. Nomar was very good.
Yeah.
But that was just part of the pieces. And I think that was part of the Dave Roberts deal, who obviously had the big steal against Mariano Rivera, I think, if I have that all right. So, but I just think it's so unusual to trade a piece like that, especially in the NFL, trade a quarterback. It's unusual to trade a quarterback anyway. It was any good.
Yeah. Did Brett Favre, was he let go or was he traded from Green Bay? I should know this. I don't.
At the end of the day, I think he was I think he ended up being traded.
Okay.
To the Vikings.
Okay. He went the Jets first, right?
And then Vikings. Jets first, and
Jets
then
first,
Vikings?
and Vikings, I believe. Yeah.
But that didn't hurt them.
No, but I mean, if you
did it help them?
Of course.
Because it got
Aaron Rodgers.
Well, but Aaron had been there.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not but I guess that's fair enough because the Lions replaced with Goff, and I don't even know if Goff's interesting. Did they resurrect his career, or did he just get better?
I think he just got better. I just think, once again, I think in Sean McVay's system, he was, everyone wants to say it. It's such a taboo thing. He's a system quarterback. I think when he got to Detroit, he was the man.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how. It's just such an unusual situation. I mean, we liken the Vikings and the Bills trade at receiver was a really interesting trade. Stephon Diggs, I think he changed the Bills. They didn't win Super Bowls. The Vikings ended up getting Justin Jefferson. That was a really big deal and a big trade and a big win for both. Like, that's one of our most recent ones where we're like, hey, that was a good move for both.
Yes.
This one, though, is just like it in many respects. I mean, and to the credit of the Rams, they have been able to pick up the pieces even faster after winning the Super Bowl. So it wasn't like they won the Super Bowl, then became the Miami Marlins who stunk for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
They look like they're still climbing and still might be able to be good with Stafford. I mean, both teams might win on this deal for years to come, which is fascinating. Not sure it's discussed enough, or maybe I'm not listening enough. But it's so unusual to trade those pieces and both teams win. And we're gonna see. I'll give you another one, and this would have to be a crazy increase. Is Bryce Young? Like, Carolina right now looks like such a loser in that deal, right?
Correct. Yes.
Chicago's such a winner, but if Bryce Young is able to find himself and they're able to get the best of him, they won't be a loser. It could turn out to be okay. We'll see. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look promising.
It doesn't look promising, but they are trying to build around him now, it looks like. Like, they're trying to take care of him a little more. They got Deontay Johnson, drafted Xavier Legette, and then still have Adam Thielen.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see if it goes. But that's one that could be one to follow where both sides win. Right now, it looks very lopsided. Deshaun Watson in Houston, same type of deal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if Cleveland has a good football team. If Watson plays really good football, actually, he might be the next. He can resurrect his career in Cleveland.
Yeah, but also, like, and say what you want with Houston, and they've been through a lot themselves, and getting rid of Deshaun Watson, like, they could care less now when you got C.J. Stroud.
That's right. That means both could win, right? Like you're saying, Detroit, they don't care that Stafford won a Super Bowl. They like where they're at.
Correct.
Stafford, Rams, they don't care that they gave away Goff and he just got an extension. They like where they're at.
Yeah.
And it could be that way if Deshaun Watson plays well or Bryce Young plays well, everybody could be happy. Maybe this does happen more often.
Yeah.
Or it could. At least there are scenarios where it could happen more often. All right, hey, don't believe the leaks. I told you, watch out for the leaks.
Yeah.
Did you see the Jags-Titans game week 2 that was being leaked on Thursday night? The debut of Amazon's coverage for 2024?
Yep.
Not happening. Instead, it's now out there. I wonder if they put this out there just to, like, trump the leak.
Yeah, maybe.
Because maybe somebody was taking away from Amazon's shine. But anyway, the Bills and Dolphins are playing the first game of the season in week 2 on Amazon.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos said, man, we're getting we're going to get a heavy hitter coming out for the first Amazon. Pretty good. I mean, we'll see with the Bills and everything, but it'll be must-watch TV.
It'll be a lot of intrigue there, I think. Okay, so scratch that week 2 Amazon conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably a good thing. I know you don't like the Titans and the Jags.
Yeah, I'm happy about it. And if that's the case and we're still looking for those primetime games, it still means that, hey, Lions and Jaguars might be on the table.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving.
Leak liars.
Oh, I mean, like, yeah, that was fun to talk about. I said to myself, like, it's not confirmed yet. Like, yeah. I just feel like with weeks, Brent, like, everyone's trying to get ahead of it. Everyone's trying to be the guy, and I get it. It's fun, but, like, you can't put so much stake into it. But, yeah, we talked about it.
Well, we kind of mentioned it, too, right?
Of course we did. We opened the show with it, Brent.
We did. It's just that you got to be careful on it because it becomes gospel quick.
Yeah.
And we don't know. Like, that's why I say about that Thanksgiving one. I'll say it again. I mean, that has become kind of a thing. Now, that person put out the whole schedule and everything else on Thursday night. People have run with it. Does that mean other people have confirmed it? We'll see. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Huge day in Jacksonville. Got the stadium presentation today. More details to come, although you can see a lot of them already. ActionNewsJax.com. Ben Becker had that report last night with Action News Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30. We'll have coverage throughout the day. I'll actually be at a meeting at 2 o'clock to get a little bit more about the presentation, and live on TV at 4 on Fox 30, and then we'll have you covered CBS 47, Fox 30 from 5 o'clock on with how the presentation goes down. And Mark Lamping Mike Weinstein, the negotiator, and Mayor Donna Deegan, believe scheduled to talk at some point this evening as well. So a lot to come still on the stadium, and then, of course, the schedule tomorrow. Huge 48 hours, really, in Jacksonville and for all the Jags fans and football fans. Let's take a time out here on the show. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll be at 1937 Spirits and Eatery, and on Friday, Best Bet St. Augustine. So come on down, hang out with us tomorrow and Friday here on the show. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
Oh man, it is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh my gosh, I cannot be outside. Well, you know, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out GWOutdoorLiving.com for your free estimate.
It's the fishing tournament everyone wants to get in, and it's time for you to register. More than 650 boats entered last summer in the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout presented by Yellowfin. Mark the calendar now, June 8th. This is fun for the entire family, and everyone has a chance to win big. Limited boundaries, no bait buying, no checkout. Cash prizes for the top 25 places, cash prizes for the top 10 lady anglers, and prizes for the top 15 junior anglers. The grand prize, this Yellowfin Bay boat with a 200 horsepower Yamaha and a Ameritrail trailer. The value, over $100,000. It's the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout. Early entry until the end of May is open and $250. If you don't catch the big one, don't worry. Just catch any size kingfish and have a chance to win $10,000 with the Nimnicht Lucky Ticket. OldSchoolKingfish.com. Register early until May 31st at OldSchoolKingfish.com.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, We usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza. Some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code Brent20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us. And at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jax Beach and Mandarin locations. Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
And we've got the Jacksonville Armada again on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network coming up on Saturday, 7 o'clock once again. You can watch it on actionnewsjax.com. You can also download the Action News Jax app and watch it there as well. It's kind of cool to see that on display over the weekend, our first foray into live sports broadcasts, and that went very well. So we did replays at 9 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m. on Sunday, so in case you couldn't get it, and then ended up posting that game up on YouTube right now, too, so you can see it there. For all the folks that are outside the United States, that's when they'll be able to see it. The app and actionnewsjax.com is, only in the United States. I don't know how all that works, but
Yeah.
So, but we make it available to everybody.
Cool.
Sooner or later.
Yeah. Can you get like a VPN? I'm not trying to tell people how to do things, but can you get like a VPN?
Yeah, that'll be a Steven Sesnick question.
Okay. Yeah. I'll be sure to run that by him later today.
I'm just trying to finish a 7-inning game.
Dude, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to help our folks, abroad, Brent. People want to hear.
I know we do have a lot of folks out there. So, but anyway, the Armada thing was very cool. And they had a nice win. Stuart Weber did a great job with the game, so it'll happen again Saturday. And then we'll have the women's game coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So fun summer ahead when it comes to that. Don't forget, we've got our lineup tomorrow with a Cup date. A lot of good racing going on in NASCAR. Stuart will have that. A week with Action Sports Jax, which it's been a busy week already, and it's only getting busier with Olivia Tassley at 1:30, and then no gate fees presented by Nimnick Buick GMC. We did spend some time talking about everything that happened last night with the FHSAA, and there are some big games tonight, too, so I don't want to take the shine off anybody else in the area. We've got a handful of baseball teams. Well, now maybe 4 teams left in baseball, I think it is. And I believe 9 teams in softball in the area. So good luck to everybody tonight playing in the state tournament coming up. Hopefully you get your games in, and weather should be a factor a little bit here throughout the day. And I think then clears later in the week. So hopefully we get all these games in. Track and field, by the way, at UNF. For the FHSAA State Championship Series coming up tomorrow. And we have some studs in track and field. Did you know, I'll give you this name, by the way, Christian Miller, who happens to actually also go to Creekside. He is the number 1 100-meter dash.
Yeah.
Still called the 100-meter dash? 100-meter.
Yeah, 100-meter dash, I think.
In the world, junior. Number 1 junior in the world.
Wow.
Like going to Olympic trials.
So I forget how this works now. So if he goes to Olympic trials,
training for Olympic trials.
Gotcha. So I mean, obviously, if you're that fast, you're probably gonna go to the Olympics.
Yeah,
but then
has a real chance.
But then you can't go to college then too, right?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how that works, and especially in today's world, from like NIL stuff. He's going to Georgia.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's going to Georgia.
Like that's where he's supposed. Well, he's not there yet. But
yeah, that's where he said he's going.
Now, they're probably putting together some NIL stuff to get him to Georgia and everything else, right?
Yeah,
so payday may be coming. How does that impact? I don't know. Honestly, I got to dig into that a little bit. But I do think he could. I mean, you could still be an amateur, right, at the Olympics. So why couldn't you go to the Olympics and then go to Georgia?
Yeah.
Now you could
I just
declare being a
remember
professional, but
who was yeah, true. I mean, maybe it's different in swimming, but Katie Ledecky, wasn't she like the big swimmer?
She was.
Yeah, so like so she like is now a collegiate swimmer.
Years later.
Yeah, years later. She won like all her medals,
Yes.
balled out, and now she's in college swimming, I believe.
Now, what I don't know if she did that just to focus on being an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
And then went.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works.
I got to check on that, but I don't think it would change your eligibility. I feel like there are stories that I've seen many a times where they're athletes at such and such university and competing. I feel like that's the case. But anyway, so we've got a lot of talent, by the way, in track and field too, which I do think gets underplayed around here, and that's shame on us a little bit. It is a harder sport to follow and gauge. There's so many different heats and races, and when you do it, it's a tough thing to cover for us in track and field. But it's an all-day thing that will take place tomorrow at UNF at Hodges Stadium. So there's that. Hey, big story today, which again we're kind of highlighted with the stadium talk, and I think Ben Becker's going to stop in here, by the way, at around noon. So we'll revisit that topic in just a little bit, and you're more than welcome to jump in on that conversation. I know the chat's got the schedule stuff going. Everybody's interested in that. There was a leak. Thursday night football debut for the Jags, like September 12th against the Titans. That's not happening. It's going to be Bills and Dolphins. Amazon and the NFL have announced, so that leak was wrong as you're trying to piece together this schedule. And then the other big story tonight, how about the debut of Caitlin Clark?
Yeah.
In the WNBA. A lot of eyes on the WNBA, a lot of eyes on the NBA last night with Luka and Oklahoma City and Dallas. But man, what a wild time, man. I mean, we got eyeballs on a lot of different things, not just in Jacksonville, but I really think the country will have their eyes set on Indiana. Not just the Pacers now, again, Knicks series.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the Fever, too.
I mean, I think I'm going to have to probably check it out and see what it looks like. I'll check it out.
Where does this fall? I was thinking that. Where does the Caitlin Clark, the Fever stuff, and maybe more? I mean, Angel Reese, and others. Like, the league has players outside of Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin Clark is obviously the one that's stealing the spotlight right now. Is it FOMO? Or is it, I genuinely want to see how her game translates to the WNBA? Or lastly, and maybe most importantly, and this is what you hope, it's, hey, product. Like, yeah. I can watch this stuff. I'm into it. I know the names now. You draw me into it, and I kind of liked it. That's what the WNBA hopes happen.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I still think it leans on the side of FOMO a little bit, where it's just like, it's almost like what was the girl's name? Simone Biles. Like,
yeah, there you go.
I don't watch gymnastics ever, right? But when she's competing at the highest level, representing her country, going for whatever record she was going for, yeah, I'm going to tune in and check it out. And I'm going to watch it live.
So that's fair missing out or watching greatness.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's how I'm approaching tonight with Caitlin Clark. No, I think some people are actually generally like, hey, I mean, WNBA is harder than it's ever been. Let me, check out some more games. Like, people can fall in that category as well. I'm not quite there yet, but I definitely want to watch greatness, and I want to see how that greatness from college is going to translate to, the elite level.
Who's a big WNBA fan?
Who's that?
Marcel Robinson.
Really?
Like, before Caitlin Clark, he watches a ton of WNBA games.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't say that disparagingly.
No, that's cool.
I don't know. Like, there's not a, but he really does. He enjoys.
Does he have a team or not? Or does he just kind of watch it collectively?
I don't know.
I'll have to ask him.
Kim Corner, I got to ask you this question. Like, you're not a sports guru fan. Like, you're a Phillies fan, right? So you have your teams. You have the Eagles. Yeah. You got to pay attention to the Jags. You probably know stuff because osmosis and subconsciously we're talking about it while you're directing the show all the time. Caitlin Clark do anything for you? Be truthful now.
Here's my thing. I don't watch basketball at all.
At all. Okay.
At all.
That's fair.
Well, yeah, you're from Philly.
But that might be
I've never been a basketball.
I mean, come on. I'm just kidding. A big AI fan, but
I watched the Flyers growing up.
Okay.
Phillies growing up. Went to Phillies games growing up, but never really.
So needless to say, you're not going to take part in Caitlin Clark tonight. It's okay, Kim.
Well, but actually, that's a better. Spot. But you're actually a better candidate to ask this question. Like, if everybody's talking about, like, listen, I don't watch award shows. I don't watch whatever. But if everybody's talking about it, I'm like, okay, let me go check this out. Right?
Yeah.
I do that. Like, listen, I had no interest in the roast.
Sure.
And everybody was talking about the Brady roast. I had zero interest in any of those folks.
Yeah.
In the roast, the whole idea of it. But everybody's talking about it. I'm like, all right. Some of it was coming up on my timeline, but I'm still like going back now and looking at it. Right?
No, exactly.
That's the way this stuff works.
Essentially, it's like with me when Folio Weekly gave you all those awards. I'm like, I'm aware of it, but man, let me go and check Foil Weekly out real quick to see what they're giving Brent over here.
No, make sure you watch Action Sports Jax.
Oh, and that's it. Okay,
so good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. So it's kind of the same thing.
It's like Jelly Roll.
No,
Jelly Roll play on the iTunes.
No, we're all set with Jelly Roll right now, man. Thank you, though. But by the way, to Delphonic with a comment of the week. That's why I tuned into the stream for greatness.
Oh, then he backed it up with another one. Hey, Brent, listen to Kendrick Lamar.
No, he hasn't, man. Don't. Yeah.
No. But maybe I should.
This is like a Jelly Roll hour here on the show, man. I'm trying to change the narrative, but we keep going back to the dude.
So
I don't know.
Kim,
wholesome.
So you didn't tune into Caitlin Clark at all during the incident when everybody was talking about her?
I did not.
Okay,
that's
fine. Yeah, respect. First of all, that you answered it truthfully.
But I do love that that female sports is getting good recognition.
By the way, it's a great time for female sports, for women's sports.
Yeah,
really a great time. And not just there. Like I say this all the time. I mean, women's golf right now has Nelly Korda, who's dominated the sport. So if you like the golf side, we talk about flag football being such a riser in terms of the youth sports world. We were at UNF the other day. Beach volleyball's doing that in the high school ranks and across the country. Like there's a lot of things going on now. Not all of it's getting Caitlin Clark attention, but there's a lot of stuff going on in women's sports that every time I do an interview to a women's sports coach, I say almost like, hey, it's a great time for women's sports.
Yeah.
And there's a domino effect, and I actually think Caitlin Clark helps that domino effect. I think she brings attention and a coolness to it the way right now that like Serena did. Serena Williams to me is the great example. That's a sport that at times in America we're not watching because we don't have enough male stars.
And to be fair, I mean, I'm going to give Venus credit because Venus was the first one.
And she should.
And I remember being a kid, I'm like, wow, like she looks different. Like she plays different.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching Venus Williams growing up a little bit, just thinking like, yeah, this looks different than everything else.
But even like, I think tennis was in a weird place in.
But Serena's obviously the champion. Like she's the GOAT
in the United States for a while because we didn't have a male star. Now it's a little bit like you can still get behind Djokovic and you can get behind Federer and Nadal. You can there was a big three, and so the sport was doing fine. But the United States, like, who did we have? I mean, you can still argue. We have more now. I think we have some younger players that are up and coming, but we went through such a dry spell. We used to have Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras and, I mean, heck, Roddick for a minute. It was longer than a minute, but it didn't ever get to the peak level we thought it might get. And that before that, it was Jimmy Connors and McEnroe and all these guys. Like, it was a sport.
the epitome of American tennis, John McEnroe, man. I appreciate it.
But it was a thing.
Yeah.
It was a thing when I was a kid. Tennis was a thing. Like, Wimbledon was an event. But you could root for your guy. Well, for the last 20 years, we haven't had the guy to root for, quite frankly. So on the women's side, it became the rallying cry for tennis. And I'm not saying you watched whatever event was going on in May, but by the time Wimbledon showed up or the majors showed up, you tune in to watch Serena play. Coco Gauff has a little bit of that over the last couple of years. A young player that's fun to watch, and she's kind of taken a little bit of that mantle.
She has, but she's also kind of taken a back seat a couple times in terms of just backing away from everything because it got a little too crazy.
That's a good point. And it also hasn't dominated to the point of the Williams sisters.
Right?
Yeah. So I really think like, here's another one I'll give you. Like, golf for a minute, Michelle Wie was a thing because of her age. And it's like, oh, here's the next superstar, you know? Even though Annika Sorenstam was very good, she wasn't an American superstar. But, I mean, Caitlin Clark, to me right now, is at a level of being almost like a pioneer of, or a pathway. Pioneer is probably too strong. Pathway to viewing, to attention. The way you mentioned Simone Biles, most recently, and I would say Serena Williams. Like, that's where we're at right now with the Caitlin Clark. Now, can she deliver on this stage? That's the next answer. That's the next question.
Well, and that's everything, you know, because, well, she has to. Because, and I'm not knocking Caitlin Clark. I think what makes her so great is the work ethic and how she approaches the game. It's almost like that Mamba mentality where it's like, I may not have the best personality in post-game press conferences, and I may not, like, I can go on SNL and do my thing, but, like, I'm not like the most, how did I put this? Like, and she's outgoing, but you know what I'm saying? Like she's just like Angel Reese is a lot more captivating in terms of the off the court stuff than Caitlin Clark. You're not going to see Caitlin Clark at the Met Gala shaking hands with all the celebrities. I think Caitlin Clark's more focused on basketball.
Yeah,
not knocking Angel Reese at all. Do what you got to do because she's still a great player herself. So like I lean more towards like the Mamba mentality with Caitlin Clark, where it's like, we love you because you're so good at basketball and what you bring to your mindset. So yeah, she has to go out there and listen. It's not a fair precedent to say. It's not fair to say you got to average at least 20 something points a game your rookie year, but kind of got to do
Yeah,
for this to work.
I feel like that's true. It's interesting. As you're saying that from a personality standpoint, I feel like there's a subtlety to Clark, the Saturday Night Live stuff, the endorsement stuff. Like she does get it, but I agree with what you're saying. She's not.
That's not her.
It's not her. Like she reminds me. She reminds me of Peyton Manning. She can be Peyton Manning for women's basketball. It might not be right in front of you, but when it happens, it's like, oh, that I didn't expect that, right? Especially the early part. Now we expect it from Peyton.
Sure.
But when he would host something for the first time, the Saturday Night Live stuff, the commercials, it was like, I don't think I like this, but I like this. Like, it feels kind of awkward, but no, it's good.
There
was an element of that. Where I know what you're saying about like Reese. It feels like she's maybe more made for that, the paparazzi, the everything else.
Yeah. I'm just glad that people have gravitated just towards the playability. Because listen, from my generation, I remember growing up as a kid, and I couldn't stand Kobe Bryant. Couldn't stand him. And it wasn't because and obviously he had some off the court stuff. Nothing with that. I couldn't stand him because the personality, he just seemed like, kind of, and this is me as a kid talking, like kind of selfish and just like, I'm just going to outwork everybody. And like, you didn't really seem personable. And like as a kid and my friends growing up were like, I can't get behind that. I'm not a Lakers fan, number one. I'm in the Midwest. So like, I don't like you. All right, AI, man, you got personality. You got tattoos. You got the look. You're the underdog. I'm going with you. And like, that's what it was for my generation of kids growing up. It was either AI or Kobe. And like, you couldn't mix them. So you better pick your side. Like that's what it was. And the older I got, the more I respected Kobe because then I realized hey, the guy did bust his ass. Like, it's not a mistake that he got to where he's at because the guy worked harder than everybody else. So like the older I got, the more I learned to respect that. With Caitlin Clark, like whether you're in second grade playing girls basketball, whether you're boys basketball, it doesn't matter. Like I think everyone respects her already, and that's a cool thing to see.
Yeah, you're right. And by the way, I do think it's significant. I want to be careful the way I phrase this, but I think it's reality. We have had some stars in women's sports where they embraced appearance and other things. Mm-hmm. Natalie Gulbis comes to mind in the golf world. Remember, I mean, she was an attractive female.
Rousey in fighting.
And Rousey, yeah.
I mean, doing movies and stuff,
What's your take on Rousey? Was Rousey good?
Yeah.
Like, was she genuinely good, or was it a little bit of, this is the next thing, and this is a little bit, this is awesome for almost like Jeremy Lin type of thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is the look?
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. It's like Rousey was never a complete fighter. But then I look at Steph Curry. Like, is Steph Curry a complete basketball player? I mean, he's good at the three-point shot. Ronnie Rousey was good. I mean, granted, Steph Curry can do other things, but like Rousey was great at the arm bar. And like for her time, she was that much better than everybody else. But and I don't want to speak for her, but like it seemed like she didn't work on the other skill sets that she had to work on eventually because she was good at one thing, and she was so good at one thing it didn't matter what the other skill set was. Yeah. Well, eventually everyone else caught up to her.
It did matter.
And one could say that you started to fall off a little bit once you started doing the movies. Once you started walking the red carpets. When it started to be more about the entertainment factor as opposed to just fighting. Conor McGregor said the same thing, right? Conor McGregor at one time was on the track to be the greatest fighter of all time in the cage. Now, he's still one of the greatest fighters of all time because you take into account everything in terms of marketability, the mic, fighting skills. Yeah, Conor's probably going to be on the Mount Rushmore. But if you take away all the red carpet stuff, if you take away, the whiskey brand that he owned, and it really makes you wonder if he ever would have lost because you got to put your time and energy into that as well. And the trend seems to be like if you're an MMA fighter and eventually you go towards that red carpet and you start doing a lot more things, you tend to fall off a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's hard to be great for a long time in that sport anyway,
course.
right?
Yeah,
because there's
yeah,
always
yeah.
somebody else coming, especially with the growth of it.
Yeah.
So that's a good example, and I don't know. But I will say this. This resonates a little bit from the Rousey to the McGregor to maybe Caitlin Clark. The great athletes that we have, the Serenas, the LeBron James,
Yeah.
they handle both.
Yeah.
They play extremely well
Those are
under the
unicorns.
spotlight and can still handle the red carpet stuff and the lights and the glitter and the fame and everything else. I think your point is not everybody can.
No.
And where's your energy at and where's your focus at and everything. That's going to be something that's interesting. Now, Caitlin Clark's been doing this for a year and she was very good in the college game. Can you do it at this level? Can you do it once you sign the expectations now of a $28 million Nike deal?
Yeah.
That's different.
Well, and I'm not trying to add extra pressure to her, but it seems like a lot of people have pushed their chips all in with Disney.
Oh, yeah. Networks.
Have pushed all their chips in on Caitlin Clark.
They really have.
Falls on her.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Unfair, probably, but it comes with the
Yeah.
territory.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think she asked for all this, but she's getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is cool. Like I say that a lot. As actually from low level to high level, it's like you want to be the person that is in that spot.
Yeah.
But with that spot comes the highs and lows of that spot. So you also got to be able to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see it as we get all eyes, of course, on Caitlin Clark tonight.
Well, one last question, Brent, with Caitlin Clark. Do you think it helped her going to, I mean, I know she's going to be a big star wherever she goes, but like, do you think it helps her going to Indiana as opposed to going to LA or New York where, bigger markets, more media?
Probably.
More eyes on, yeah.
Probably. I mean, I feel like she made it got so big in the NCAA tournament that it felt like she was in New York City or LA.
Yeah.
But I don't know from the day to day. I think you're right. I mean, that's the question you asked a guy like Trevor. Is he better to go to New York or better to come to Jacksonville? The answer is Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It fits him better. Place like Iowa loves their basketball. Place like Indiana loves their basketball.
Sure.
Well, is that a better place? Probably.
Yeah, go and ask Zach Wilson how New York's working for you.
Yeah, I do think you talked about situation before. I think that can certainly, from a comfort standpoint. And I'll give you this, too. I thought about this in Indiana. Hey, you got to get the Hoosiers back. They got to be playing well. Purdue was awesome, right? Indiana Fever has Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Pacers are locked in with the Knicks. Like, it's a good time to be in Indiana where basketball is king. Hoosiers, where are you?
Yeah.
They're the one they're missing. Heck, even Indiana State got it going.
I know. Yeah, Hoosiers. Dude, I've said this before, but it's like the Hoosiers of basketball to me was like Texas the past decade, and now they're coming back in football. Whereas like at one time the Longhorns were that team in Texas, and then all of a sudden literally everybody else became that team except them, and now they're making a resurgence.
But it kind of feels right, like Indiana basketball, right? I mean, do we associate another state with basketball more than Indiana?
Well, I think Kentucky's close because I lived there and I know how crazy they are for basketball, but I would put Indiana probably above everybody else because I played AU tournaments in Indiana. I'm like, literally, that's all they got. No, seriously, yeah. they love their basketball.
They do. They do. But I'm telling you, I grew up, my roommate, didn't grow up, but my roommate in college was a huge Indiana Hoosiers fan. I mean, big time. And I just can't get over the fact that they can't find it. You're watching everybody else be able to find it. And I just thought about it the last day or so. I mean, Indiana Fever, the Pacers they've got nice young stars. They've got electricity around their franchise in the professional ranks. And then Purdue, who was Indiana Hoosiers' rival.
Yeah.
They're able to get it going the last couple of years. So, and then Indiana State did come to mind just now with the whole thing. I mean, what a year for Indiana basketball where you're right. You can maybe argue Kentucky, and there are other states that really love their basketball, but it's hard to, Hoosiers is Hoosiers for a reason.
Listen, it opened my eyes when we played an AU tournament. It was at the Spiece in Indiana, and literally you're driving in the middle of nowhere. It's Indiana, right? Flatland, farmland, in the middle of nowhere. Then all of a sudden, we get to just this beacon, just this oasis in the middle of nowhere, and it's this giant gymnasium that can have 20 basketball courts, and it's Okay. And yeah, so Indiana definitely loves their basketball.
They do love their basketball. Hey, we love you. Hang with us. We've got another hour to go. Ben Becker will jump in on the stadium conversation. We'll give you the latest on that. Still to come here on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Big day in Jacksonville with all the stadium talk, and we'll continue to talk about it when we come back. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability. Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part? They did it in one day. It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jax team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jax to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jax in your app store, either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jax 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms. Whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV, you can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms, from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jax 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Springs, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
There's a look at the stadium after a couple of concerts over the last couple of weeks. And, well, that stadium right there is a big discussion point here on a Tuesday in Jacksonville. I saw an old photo, actually, of it 30 years ago. It's kind of interesting to see that going way back, that Gator Bowl. And, well, now we're on that next phase of it here in the next few years. Could be, what does it look like for the next 30 years in Jacksonville in the stadium? Presentation being made today to the city and agreed upon framework. And we've got the details of it because of this man who's joining us right now. That's Action News Jax's Ben Becker. Send Ben. We brought Ben in. How did Ben Becker not come to this studio before?
I didn't know this was here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I knew it was here, but I hadn't come back and look for it, right? But here I am now, and now I may not leave.
He's not gonna. I was gonna say, man. See, Brent, you gotta keep it on DL, man.
I know. Well,
you have Miss Pac-Man over there. I think Galga's over there. So I mean, Galga's my game. I could turn that over. I can go to $1 million on Galaga.
There are some things back here that we did not want discovered. This is why we didn't send Ben back to this corner of the building. Ben Becker, last night you guys, you broke some news about the stadium deal. Got your hands on some information before it comes out. And what did you make of some of the details that you reported?
Well, this is what I found out, and as you guys have been talking about. So the stadium deal, $1.25 billion towards the stadium. And then there's an element of money for the east side, $150 million from the city, with the Jags matching up to $150. It could end up being $100. Still unclear right now if that's part of the $625 for each, or that would be additional. So that is still unclear what that's going to be. But when you compare it to the MOU, the Memo of Understanding that was done by the Curry administration a year ago, you could say, hey, this is a better deal in that respect, because at that time it was an overall $2 billion deal that included development, well, they get a Lot J type development with the city picking up $1 billion. And without that, it was looking at $1.4 billion, with the city picking up around $800 or $900 million of that, 67%. So in that respect, you could say, hey, it's a win. But I think Brent was talking about earlier, it's like, well, if I'm spending, $50 more than I intended, I still was spending $50 more than I intended. Yeah. So you either look at it like you're saving money, or I'm spending money I wasn't going to spend in the first place.
Yeah, those details are important, and I think a lot of this is perception. But then there is the reality. I mean, the reality is you still have to get it done and have to educate people and include people, and that's the next phase of this, right? I mean, how challenging is this part going to be? The presentation is one thing, right? To me, this was an easier deal to agree upon because you knew both sides wanted to get something done. This wasn't like a lot of back and forth political game going on, at least with the parties that were navigating the framework. Mm-hmm. Now that the framework's done, this is the part where I think, in my opinion, it gets as sticky as it's going to be.
Well, the deal is too big to fail, right? They have to get it done for both sides. The city wants to keep the Jags. And frankly, the Jags, unlike what many people may think, don't really have the leverage to go elsewhere if they so chose, if they wanted to relocate. That's always the big worry, right? That's what we're always concerned about. Mm-hmm. When you look on the landscape, well, London's not going to happen for that type of thing. You would need a whole division over there. Correct. That's at least a decade away. I think even the commissioner mentioned that a few weeks ago. And you look in North America, where would they possibly go if that was on the table, right? San Diego, they're a loser. And they haven't done anything. St. Louis is a two-time loser. Oakland doesn't have a stadium. San Antonio's too close to Dallas. Portland's too close to Seattle. Toronto couldn't even handle one Buffalo game every year, and Buffalo's getting a new stadium. So when you add it up, theoretically, where could the Jags go if there wasn't a deal? So the city has more leverage in this than they may think, and maybe that's reflected in the deal we got, possibly. Now, as far as trying to sell the deal, well, they're going to have to take it around to different parts of the city. And the question's going to be, well, if you're throwing all this money at the east side, well, what about the west side? What about the north side? Why are they getting all this money? What about us? And then we have to help pay the freight for this deal. And oh, by the way, how are we going to pay for this deal? From what I understand, we're not going to find that out today. How are they going to pay for it? There was talk before about money coming out of the police and fire pension. They can go in the open market and finance it that way, a different way as well. So we don't know. And keep this in mind. We talk about how it's such a great deal, so to speak, in the scheme of things. But it's not like they're just cutting a check and they're good to go. They have to finance this. So over 20 or 30 years, just like your house or your car, you're spending more than you think. So $625 million for the city, when you throw in maintenance, you throw in other renovations, or they'll need a new scoreboard in 10 or 15 years too. It'll probably be $2 to $3 billion for the city over 2 or 3 decades.
Yeah, there are more details and semantics and inside that. I thought one of the interesting notes that you had, and we'll get to the London stuff in a bit, or the biggest question, at least from a sports fan standpoint, is where they're going to play in 2027. Orlando, to me, always made the most sense because everything is right there, probably without a lot of extra cost. I think Orlando would pay them to play there in many respects. I think they'd love to have the NFL down there for a little bit. But your report leans toward Gainesville, who also could be or is scheduled for a major renovation coming up, I think, next year.
Yeah, nothing's set in stone right now. That was just what was told to me as of a month ago, that Gainesville would be the option if indeed they don't stay here and do the renovation and play games with a reduced capacity at the same time. So Gainesville would be in play. And it makes the most sense because you think about it, the city now has this growing relationship with the University of Florida, with the FinTech Center. They're putting, I think, $300 million approximately in state money towards it. So Ben Sass has been to Jacksonville. So there's a relationship there. And if there's somehow they could even take it to the next level by saying, hey, we'll send the Jags down there, and that community now can have 8, 9 home games to help them, I think that becomes sort of, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Where do you think, Austin, again, we'll get into London in a minute because we know that with our folks that listen, that can be a contention. But I think Orlando's a huge contention point with diehard Jags fans. I think Jacksonville and Orlando are I think we use each other when we want to, but we want to be different.
No, for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
and I think if it is Gainesville, I think it at least helps that from a perception standpoint. It's like, well, we know Gainesville isn't going to try to steal our NFL team.
No, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, there always is those rumblings then with Orlando, but also I can see, listen, obviously the Jaguars can attract a lot of away people as well, away fans, right? And I think the trip to Orlando is going to be a lot easier than the trip to Gainesville. And so do you take that into account at all?
I don't think Orlando could be in play, even if the Jags wanted to go there, because that's the Bucs market. And I'm sure the Glazer family would not welcome an NFL team, right outside their neighborhood. So I don't think that would even be a possibility, especially with Gainesville as a possibility and considering the relationship that UF has with Jacksonville.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's been discussed, and not just in the sport of football, but also in the sport of basketball. Remember, it was a few years ago where I think I was more than a few years ago. It was Mayor Alvin Brown who the idea of bringing up an NBA team to Jacksonville. Remember that?
These politicians always love to float some great ideas. Hey, let's move a team here. We'll put a new stadium or new arena. I think even Lenny Curry had floated an idea. I don't know whether it was public or I heard about it, that wanted to get the Arizona Coyotes to Jacksonville or something like that. Yeah. So all these guys, they wouldn't love it. You want to bring a political convention here? Sure. Well, we'll make it work. Whatever. That didn't work out. So, everyone has a lot of great ideas sometimes, at least on paper.
I've been here a long time, by the way, when I have to go back 3 mayors. That's been a long time. Ben Becker hanging out with us here from Action News Jax, CBS 47, Fox 30. I'm assuming you're going to be reporting on this all day today.
Yeah, I'll be at City Council tonight. It's always fun. It's always an enjoyable experience.
I bet. Give us the what is that like? So I don't work in that arena. Now I'm going to be playing a little bit in that arena today. But what is this presentation like? What is the atmosphere? And I mean, is this just simply a PowerPoint?
Well, I don't know if it's a PowerPoint per se. It's not legislation that's being introduced today. It's not technically on the agenda even. It's going to be introduced, or it'll be Mark Lamping at the very least, if not also Mayor Deegan and what's
Weinstein.
his name? Mike Weinstein will be up there, and so that'll be at 5:15 during the time where it's Ron Salem's sort of his part. It's a lack of a better word. I don't know what the technical term is, but that's sort of like where people can come up. It's basically after the Pledge of Allegiance and Bob Smith gets his award for serving Jacksonville for 30 years. And that's where Mark Lamping will start and do his spiel, and then everyone else will do theirs. And then they'll split. So you would think it'll probably be done, in 15 or 20 minutes or something like that. And I was told, interestingly, I'm like, well, why is it there? Why didn't they do it later in the meeting or something like that? Because, it's a 4 or 5 hour meeting, and they didn't want Lamping to have to sit through the whole thing. They want to do him a solid.
Well,
they want to take care of Mark.
How long do these meetings usually go?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it can go 4 or 5 hours.
Okay, well, see, I think there's more significance to it than that they didn't want to tell you. I think you're on everybody's 5 o'clock newscasts. You got people talking about it. You're starting to educate people about it. Some of this will be carried live. I mean, so you can see. I think there's a big advantage to doing it at the time they're doing it.
Well, part of it, too, is later in the meeting, that's when you talk legislation. And right now, there is no legislation to discuss. So it kind of has to be in that beginning part anyway. And maybe they deliberately are holding off on introducing the legislation, which I would imagine will be shortly, because if they already have a deal, they're going to have to get the ball rolling, because Ron Salem, the council president, has said they want to get a deal done within 60 days whenever it was introduced. So if that's the timeline, then it needs to get in, and then everyone needs to start picking it apart.
That 60-day window, is that a Salem thing, or is that an actual thing?
Salem had mentioned it previously. It was almost as if he wanted it to be done by the time that he was finished being council president, the last day being June 30th.
Yeah.
So it kind of lent itself to that a little bit, almost like he wanted it done on his watch.
Yeah.
That doesn't appear it's going to happen. I mean, there always could be a measure introduced on an emergency basis to move it through quicker, but considering the massive ask here, I don't think they're going to push it any quicker than it should go, and it'll probably go into July or some point like that. Council is off, I believe, for 2 weeks in July, so you're looking maybe mid-July or August or whatever, and then I believe the NFL have meetings in October.
October is the time that it could get approved, and that'll be the big. See, that's another part of this. I know you got to jump in here, Austin, but that's another part of this framework that I think people, and I said this last week too, or a couple of times now, you've got to make the deal look in line with other deals for the NFL owners to approve it. I mean, 75%. And I mean, there's probably some owners that are waiting to find some reason to be like, no, we don't want it, Jacksonville.
They may not like this deal, right? You look at Buffalo, you look at Nashville, a lot more money's going towards those, and those were brand new stadiums. This is a pittance compared to that. I think the Raiders deal was, I want to say $750 million, but again, that's a number of years ago. Buffalo's, I'd have to look it up. I think Nashville's is the one where it's like the most. I think that's maybe $1.2 billion in public subsidies. That one's a big one. And that's also one of the reasons why whenever anyone said like a baseball team could move there, I'm like, well, they're already on the hook for a football team for $1.2 billion. I'm not sure like a baseball team's going to go there, but I digress. So it'll be interesting to see when the time comes. There may be an NFL owner or two. I don't know if it'll be unanimous. They may say, look, that's not enough. That's a bad precedent. If we're allowing this, what about the next team that says, well, look at Jacksonville. They got by with 625. So, nothing's a slam dunk.
Ben, obviously, social media is a big thing when it comes to Jaguars fandom. It's not everything, but it is somewhat of a pulse of the fan base, and giant concerns of having 2 officially home games now, overseas, if you will. And my understanding was 2 home games in London. But you're telling me it could be London and a different country.
Hey, it's international, right?
Yeah,
So the rule changes in 25, where there'll be 8 international games a year. And as part of that, it's a rotation where each team, each city, or whatever you want to call it, is required to give up a home game to go play someplace else. Well, the Jags already have the London game, but that doesn't keep them out of the rotation, from what I understand. So that means once every 4 years, almost like an SEC type schedule, where you have to go someplace. Once every 4 years, 2 home games will not be in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Now, if that being said, maybe at that point there's an 18-game schedule. So you have 9 home games, and then it really becomes 7, which is one less than what's 7, where now you have 7 anyway. So you can argue, okay, it's not a net loss because we're already at 7, so you stay at 7, but still, it ain't 9 like every other team.
Well, and also I think a big thing, if we're talking about that, is like, listen, the West Coast trip's hard enough already being a football player. Now you're talking about going to London, and then all of a sudden, are you going to go back-to-back, and you're going to Germany, or you're going to Brazil? Like, what is that going to look like in terms of recovery?
Yeah, I think that's. I wonder if we get a time. We have quietly wondered this anyway. Right now, it looks like it can be an advantage, even playing the home-away game, right, or the way that works, because you're there. But I do wonder you get to the point where the coach, right, of the football side of things is like, wait a minute, or the player. speak up a little bit. But right now, that's not the case in Jacksonville. Let's be crystal clear about that. Maybe for the coaches' side, the logistics side, the players have certainly embraced this. The players do not complain about it. It's almost like the other side. I don't even know if the fans like that. They almost embrace it so much. It's like, it's a cool trip. Good. We like being over there. We salvaged our season last year over there. They thought that was a huge part of it. But I do think you could get to the point where, like, you get a 7-year vet and it's like, okay, I'm tired of this trip, right? Like,
but it's one thing, Brent, staying in the same location, or at least the same country.
True.
It's another thing having to go to England and then all of a sudden, oh, hey, by the way, we have to go to Germany or Brazil. Like, that's different then.
Yeah.
That's a lot of travel.
You're still talking about 22, 24, 25, 6-year-old guys. It's once a...
Some of these guys have families and stuff.
It's once a 4-year type of thing. Those guys will look at it like, hey, I get to bring the family over or something like that. I just don't know if it will bother them to that point. And the rest of the league's doing it. So it doesn't matter if you play for the Packers or someone else outside of that second game. I know what you're saying. I just don't think it's as big a deal to them.
I would imagine it would be they keep them in London for the second game, or at least in Europe.
You would hope. Yeah.
They're not going to Brazil.
They're going to send them to Brazil.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's a Mexico City mixed in there. Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like a Mexico City game where it's Jags against the Cowboys in Mexico City, like something like that.
Well, and quite frankly, it could be something like playing in Vancouver.
Sure.
or Toronto.
Let's just stay away from Australia, and we'll be fine.
Australia, you never know.
Yeah,
about
let's
that.
just stay away from that.
I'd be curious to see a Vancouver or Toronto simply because of their proximity to Seattle and Buffalo.
Yeah, it just is closer. What's the biggest? Is the biggest argument against this? Shad's a billionaire and one of the richest people in the world. Why can't he front it all?
Realistically, you can't make that case because if you want to be in the NFL, you have to pay the freight. But obviously, that is the main concern. He's worth $12 billion. He could pay for this with money out of his couch, right? It shouldn't be a problem for him. But it doesn't mean he has to, right? I can go buy something for $100 down the street, right? Doesn't mean I want to do it. I could, but I don't want to, and he doesn't want to. So he's part of a club. It's a country club of NFL owners, of 32 owners, and he has a responsibility and obligation to protect their financial interests too. Even if he wanted to do it, they wouldn't allow it. It wouldn't be approved. So even if he wanted to go that route, it ain't going to happen. But yeah, that's the biggest hurdle. You look at this guy who I think he just bought another boat. Didn't he buy another boat?
I don't think.
No, someone was saying he bought another Kismet.
He might be looking into it.
Whatever. Yeah.
Brent will be on it in no time if he did.
Yeah, I think he's shopping around.
Can't wait to hear about it.
I don't know. He went to
lobster biscuit and everything with Brent. Can't wait.
I don't know, but yeah, that's the concern, right? You look at a guy. Should public money subsidize billionaires, right? And that's the billion-dollar question.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get, not everybody knows all those details, so perception-wise, that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, why can't you just stroke the check? But what I've always said about that, I think it's more than just that perception. I think you need buy-in from the city, almost as a partner, right? You want to, if you're in that situation where you can write your side of the check, you want to make sure there's buy-in and importance and investment on the other side, so everybody's working together to make this bigger and better over time. Not just with the stadium, because we know there's more to come, like in the city, and Shad's already indicated that and wants that, and hope I think the city does too eventually, wherever we get to it. What do the shipyards look like? What does downtown look like? But I've always looked at that investment as less of, hey, it's not that I can write the check, but this isn't a charity. This has to be a partnership and a buy-in if I'm going to put this kind of money, even though I can get it from my couch.
Well, the catchphrase is, right, a private-public partnership. However, in these private-public partnerships, often there aren't so much of a partnership.
Yeah.
What happens is, for example, any of the revenue, or a lot of the revenue generated by new stadiums go to the owners, right? A lot of those Lot J type developments are there because they don't have to share that revenue with leagues, and they get a substantial cut of that revenue they keep. The city gets a pittance and maybe a little bit of sales tax or whatever it might be. So it's a huge moneymaker. And oh, by the way, the stadium and the shipyards are both in what's called an opportunity zone, which were given federal designation back out of the Trump tax cuts in 2017, and they were assigned in different parts of the country. And it just so happens dozens and dozens of stadiums across the country are in these opportunity zones. The money's supposed to help do redevelopment, but what happens is they're used as massive tax shelters for the billionaires that own the teams. And that's one way that you can do it is you put the investment and the money into it, especially if the shipyards for con, you put the money in, and then you're able to get money tax deferred and your capital gains basically forgiven over a 10-year period if the money sits in there. So let me put it this way. And this may not be a perfect example, but let's say you have one share of Apple for $100 and you sell it for $120. Well, you owe 15% on that $20 that you just made. But in an opportunity zone for every dollar or 100 or whatever, if it sits in there for 10 years, then you don't have to pay that 15% any longer. That's forgiven. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that's exactly the case here, but that's typically how it goes. So there's an investment that he makes, but at the same time, the incentive is that massive tax break that comes along with it.
Gotcha.
Two more things. One, I saw this in New England. Again, I always refer to this. I saw Gillette Stadium was built on the. Also going on was Patriot Place and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and everything else. It no doubt all came together at the perfect time and things popped. You're a Baltimore guy. Indianapolis is probably one of the great examples.
Don't say that
this.
word. Don't say that word. Don't say Indianapolis around me.
I was gonna say that.
Hey, yeah. Whoa. The next thing you know, you're going to say Mayflower. Don't say that. I don't want to hear that.
Cleveland, too.
Hey, listen, we had to take their team. We had no choice but to steal their team because the NFL left us in a nuclear winter for 12 years without football. We had no choice. Oh, by the way, the Colts are shopped around when they did move to Indy, including Jacksonville. It was Colts fever, right? And there was Bob Irsay, may he not rest in peace, came down in a helicopter in the middle of the Gator Bowl with 40 or 50,000 people there in Jacksonville looking to get the Colts to move here. And then eventually he came back to BWI, Baltimore Washington International Airport, looked Mayor Schaefer in the eye, drunk as a skunk, and lied to him about his intentions with the Baltimore Colts. And we know what happened with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, but anyway, that Gator Bowl meeting with the helicopter actually did help pave the way maybe for Jacksonville to get a franchise. I mean, many believe because of that turnout on that time. But going back to the big picture nature of this, is this the catalyst?
You off a little bit, didn't I?
Is this the catalyst to be what I guess New England and Foxborough did, but really Indianapolis is the great example because they have become a central location for so many events and big things. It changed their city. Not Lucas Oil, pay in Lucas Oil, everything else. I mean, I know that's got to be the hope here in Jacksonville that we become that next big city in the South, right? I mean, we're on the way anyway.
Well, they've been saying that for decades.
Yeah.
So, look, Indianapolis has the advantage of being centrally located, okay? So you can come from there from all directions. Jacksonville, they could try to make it a hub, if you will, but Orlando, I think, already has that established as sort of where a place in Florida that's centrally located where people are going to come. I mean, there's UCF, University of Central Florida. It's centrally located. So Jacksonville can try to be that kind of hub. I think it could be something, I think, optimally a Tampa type of thing, if that's the model you want to go for. But it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort. And just because you invest the money doesn't necessarily mean it works out either. A lot of these stadium deals, especially the development around it, isn't necessarily workable or profitable for cities. You can look in Kansas City, that's a big example there. Also, even around Atlanta, I think there's some issues with having to try to pay off bonds. You have to go into the general fund to make payments. I think Vegas and Clark County had issues there. So just because you get these deals done, it's not a magic wand, and all of a sudden you have economic development and everything's great, like what's happening in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the dollars are one thing. The growth, I think, aspects are all there right now in Jacksonville in a lot of ways. I mean, from a football standpoint, you hope Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, right? But from an outside standpoint, you go one of the fastest growing cities in America right now, right? I mean, there's obviously a lot of movement into Jacksonville, so the dynamics might be all in place outside, obviously, some important details on how you get things done.
It's important to point out, too, you can ask pretty much any economist who studies stadiums, and they'll tell you they create little to no beneficial impact for cities. If anything, it's a negative impact. It's a drain on a city. So you have to take that into consideration as well. It just does not pay for taxpayers, according to economists, to front $600, $700, $800, $900 million subsidies to these owners to build these stadiums and the developments around them. They just do not get the return on investment that something else may, or even just investing in the city with parks and roads and streets and sidewalks and things like that. It just doesn't pay when you ask pretty much any economist in the field.
How about if you put the $100 million, $150 million into certain sections of town? Would that be something like we follow, you follow, and say, okay, what does that mean? What does that lead to?
Well,
because I thought that was one of the big things that didn't get talked about in the Lot J stuff. When that got turned down, you're talking about, I forget the amount of dollars. It was like $20 million over 20 years.
Well,
the
total deal was like $250 or $275 or something like that.
Yeah, but there was a lot of money going to the east side in that deal.
There's an east side component to it, but again, that deal was you're heavily subsidizing the team, and you're building something from scratch downtown right there that not necessarily is going to pay off for the whole city. One thing also I want to bring up here, and I don't know this for a fact yet, but I'm curious to find out today or down the line if they're going to create a special taxing district around the stadium. Typically what that means is you create an area that any money that's spent in that area will pay for those facilities. So then they'll say, look, hey, you come to the stadium or the shipyards, it pays for itself, okay? However, when that's said, that means that's money that typically would have went outside those borders now isn't anymore. So while in one way it does pay for itself, well, that means other parts of the city aren't getting that money. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be a funding mechanism at some point, and that remains to be seen.
How much have you asked this, or do we know this? Why can't St. Johns County and surrounding counties participate? Like, why?
Get him, Ben.
I didn't know you're a comedian.
Get him, Ben.
You're funny. You're funny, Brent. There's no way, man. You think they're going to give a dime? No.
I mean, I get why they wouldn't want to give a dime. I'm just saying why.
Has
that been broached?
I talked to the administrative, the head administrator in St. Johns County a number of weeks ago, and I said, "Did City of Jacksonville ever reach out to you?" Like, no. I said, "Do you think they'd have a shot?" And there was silence on the other end.
Yeah.
Okay? No.
So that's why they don't reach out.
There's no incentive for St. John's or Clay or Baker, anything like that. It would never happen. And I thought I read something recently where someone suggested maybe the legislature could come up and create some sort of mechanism, similar to some other part of the country where they made the surrounding counties pay for it. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, so we have a Republican governor, a Republican legislature, we have Republican counties all around Jacksonville, and those Republican lawmakers are going to force the Republican counties to help subsidize the city that has a Democratic mayor. It would never happen.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean, listen, logic doesn't happen a lot in this kind of stuff. I just feel like it's a logical play. Like, I mean, I live down St. Johns County. I think you do too. Like, I think that would be a reasonable play as a resident of St. Johns County. But I also live in the sports, because people will come at us a lot, be like, oh yeah, it's no problem. You're not living in Duval. And I'll just say, I would be willing. But here, I'm also a guy that's on record saying I'd be willing to pay more taxes if you pay teachers more and stuff like that. So,
if you're St. John's, then you'll say, all right, well, we're going to help contribute to the stadium. Where's your money to help pay for the PGA Tour headquarters that we had to build for $150 million a number of years ago.
It opens up a lot of
Or you're going to come down to our beaches, or you're coming down to St. Augustine, and now we're going to slap you with some tax. It's going to be becomes like New York, where you're paying $20 on a bridge.
Yeah. I could see that. I mean, again, it's complicated. And they didn't even but I'm glad that you asked. Like, that makes sense. It popped into my mind, but obviously isn't going to work.
Yeah, I mean, she thought I was smoking the funny stuff, but but that was that.
All right, last question. Go ahead. No, you stay on this because I'm going sports after this.
Okay, I was going to ask you, man. Obviously, transparency is going to be really big tonight. What is the biggest thing that they have to be transparent about to get everybody on the same page? It's
a great question because they haven't been too transparent so far. When I asked for records and minutes of meetings for the last number of years, not only the Deegan administration, but also the Curry administration on stadium talks, they said, there aren't any records. No records. You guys been meeting. All right, well, how about personal notes? How have you been memorializing these meetings? How about some personal notes that everyone that takes? Those don't fall under public records. So for years, there's been all this discussion, no transparency. There's nothing to say other than when Weinstein would go in front of council and say, yeah, we're moving along, or Weinstein gives a few interviews, or Deegan does an interview and says, yeah, it'll be good for taxpayers. We're working on it. There's been no transparency. So I like to see more. They should be asked about it. And in these meetings, they'll be asked questions, but also the process of tearing this deal apart, which is what council's probably going to do a little bit. Some of the discussions on that, is that going to be transparent? Whether it's council, whether it's the mayor's office, whether it's the Jags? To this point, the answer has been no.
Yeah, let me ask you a sports question to finish up this conversation.
The Orioles are winning the World Series, yes.
I was going to say, are the Ravens the team to beat in the AFC? We had the Ravens-Chiefs, and we were talking about earlier in the show, it's like the Chiefs obviously are the defending champs, and for good reason. You never give up on them. But they aren't the best team. You can make the case the Jets and the Ravens are better.
It's hard. I mean, you look at the AFC, let's go division by division. You can make a case for the Dolphins being a playoff team. The Bills, of course, a playoff team. Maybe the Jets a playoff team. Who am I leaving out in the AFC East? Who am I leaving out? I got Jets, Bills,
Patriots.
Patriots. I forget about them.
Yeah.
Then the North, right? The Ravens, of course, the playoff team. Bengals, Browns, Steelers, playoff teams, right? Then you get into the South. The Jags, all right, they could be a playoff team. The Titans, I don't know. Texans, of course. And then who am I leaving out in the South? Help me out.
Titans, you said.
Titans.
Colts.
And the Colts could be a playoff team. Then the West, the Chiefs, of course. The Raiders, no. The Chargers could very well be, possibly. And then who am I leaving out in the West? Who did I leave out in the West?
Raiders.
And the Broncos.
Chiefs, Broncos.
Broncos stink. Don't have to worry about them. So basically, you got about 10 teams in the AFC, give or take, that are playoff contenders. I can't say if the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl or not, because frankly, we haven't made the Super Bowl since we won it in 2012. Harbaugh is a great coach, but he makes a lot of questionable decisions during games. He's big on the analytics, for better or for worse. It's bit us in the butt. I mean, I don't know how many times we've blown 2-point conversions that he's decided somehow we need to go for. We have Lamar Jackson in a great running game, and somehow we can't convert 2-point conversions. I don't know how that's even possible, but the Ravens find a way. So we play great in the regular season. We win 11 or 12 games, and then we get in the playoffs, and you know what happens. It doesn't work out well. Even that Chiefs game, the AFC Championship game last year, we got our butts kicked in the sense that we killed ourselves all game. Played terrible all game. It was reminiscent of Super Bowl III, which, by the way, Bubba Smith said was fixed and thrown. But that's a whole different story. We played so bad. It was as if we were giving the game away. But yet, here we were, whipped the ball down 17-10, and had the last possession and a chance to go to the length of the field and tie the game. And, of course, we didn't do it. So until they show they can do it, I can't say they can. That's the long answer to your question.
But, Ben, here's the thing I want to bring up real quick. I think in the AFC, whoever's going to have the home field advantage is going to have to go through cold weather. I think we can all agree on that, right? I mean, whether it's Kansas City, I mean, New York, whatever the case may be.
Unless it's Houston.
Which, we'll see. But you bring in Derrick Henry, who's going to be a significant upgrade from Gus Edwards. And nothing against Gus Edwards, because he filled that role great. But now you have a guy in Derrick Henry who I think still has some tread left in the tires. It's been his MO since college, where he's getting way too many reps. He's going to fall. Guy's still doing his thing. And now he's in Baltimore, where he doesn't have to be the guy every single rep, because you do have, I think, Justice Hill still there, right?
Right.
And you still have some dynamic running backs. So, like, if I'm you, man, I'm excited.
I am excited, but
it's the Patrick Mahomes effect.
I have to be with a grain of salt on it, because look at our division, first off.
True, I hear you.
We can win the division. I mean, we have 4 teams capable of winning the division. So that's hard. It is hard. I mean, even the Patriots in all their glory went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. So it is difficult. I mean,
and they had an easy division.
Right. And look at the Steelers. I mean, they make the playoffs almost every year. They have a winning record every year. They haven't won a playoff game, I think, since 2016. So it is just difficult, and I get it, but sometimes I think the Ravens don't help themselves. But we'll see what happens this year. I'm cautiously optimistic.
There you go.
That's Ben Becker, ActionNewsJax.com. By the way, maybe I should get Ben onto the FHSAA.
Oh, see,
yeah, you're upset about that.
You gonna send Ben? You gonna send Ben with that?
We could.
Man, I'm just feeling like with all the knowledge I learned today, I might be running for mayor pretty soon, man.
Listen,
I'm just kidding.
Listen, I think it's 3 years.
3 years, all right.
You start fundraising now.
I mean, dude, you taught me a lot. Like, it's like a Schoolhouse Rock episode here to teach about the mayor, man. I appreciate it. I learned a lot today.
The great thing about running for political office is usually you need no experience.
Oh, perfect then, man. Sign me up. Sign me up, Brent.
That's Ben Becker. Watch him on CBS 47, Fox 30 all day today. Stadium coverage. I'll be on it as well, as we'll have you covered with Action News Jackson, Action Sports Jax. Let's take a break. Brent Austen Show here on a Tuesday. A big one in Jacksonville. Let Ben go chill out for a couple minutes.
Yeah, don't bring up Indianapolis anymore.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Oh man, it is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh my gosh, I cannot be outside. Well, you know, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out gwoutdoorliving.com for your free estimate.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we are a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
All right, week with Action Sports Jax is going to be at 1:30 tomorrow. That's our lineup tomorrow. By the way, 6 o'clock in the morning, we start Miller and Moulton. Then our show, Brent and Austen Show, will have a bunch of recap, right, from tonight's stadium stuff and what else happens if there is more information, which I got to believe there's more information that we'll learn today, throughout the day. I'm heading downtown in about an hour to maybe learn a little bit more, and then their presentation at 5 o'clock, and we'll hear from the party. So it'll be a big time. Make sure you jump in the discussion with us tomorrow, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And then 1 o'clock, it's Cup Date, coming off a big race and result over the weekend. A week with Action Sports Jax after that. And then No Gate Fees presented by Nimnick Buick GMC, where, yeah, I could have spent the whole show talking about what happened last night in the FHSAA, but we will probably spend a little more time. And what else happens? We've got some big games tonight. High school baseball and softball. We've got track tomorrow, track and field, state championships. So there's a lot going on that people are talking about in the high school ranks. So No Gate Fees presented by Nimnick Buick GMC. That's at 2 o'clock. Then we'll replay our show, Brent and Austen, 3 to 6. So really, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. lineup on Wednesday, which is kind of fun. And, oh, how about this? I was just talking about we might add an hour tomorrow night. I think the schedule is going to come out probably around 8. That's when it usually does. And so we're thinking of doing an hour show tomorrow night, 8 to 9 p.m. around the schedule and all the other big news going on here in Jacksonville. So hopefully you can join us on that. I'll have more details tomorrow if we pull the trigger. We're going to get by today first.
Did you see the tease of what where they're going to lean towards the video for the release?
You know, I thought I captured that. Now I forget. My gosh, there's a lot going on in my world.
No, I got you.
No, I did see the tweet. What did it say? Remind me of it.
So it's, okay.
And then it will trigger me.
It says, dust off those VHS players.
VHS, that's what it was.
VCR those, right? Just call them a VCR? Like, how many people call it a VHS player?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Have you ever called it a VHS player?
So they meant to say VHS tapes?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean,
you got some 24-year-old guy that's never heard of VHS before.
It's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, that's what's running the social media thing.
But it seems to be like it's Jags 95, which is a playoff of the X-Men series, Brent.
Oh, I see.
So it could be an animated X-Men kind of thing. So I'm
not going to get any of this.
You're not going to understand any of it. So you're going to be in one of your moods tomorrow. Yeah, man.
I mean, between the stadium
I'm gonna have to,
politics.
The way Ben, broke it down for like everyone out there, I'm going to have to break down X-Men for Brent tomorrow. So I can't wait to do that. I'll do my homework tonight.
Talk to me like I'm a 2-year-old. YB400 says, wish Ben Becker was one of my teachers, understood everything. Yeah, he explained it pretty well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things. Again, that's not my world I'm living in. He does a good job of that. Now, I don't always agree with Ben. We have different opinions. We have some really good battles sometimes about a lot of this stuff, but he brings it from a different lens, which I like, and obviously from the city lens and the political lens, and there's a lot of that I don't usually delve into. We will a little bit today, though, of course, being down on this big story and where it lands and where it ends up. In not just today. That's probably the next thing. Maybe I'll ask, when's the next milestone marker for this? Is it when the 60 days are complete or that final thing, or late July because of, a couple week break in there and everything else? Is late July right around training camp? Is that the next mile marker, or are there other ones? Now, what we do know are there huddles and other things coming up in the next handful of days and a couple weeks, so there'll be some information there. But I'm talking tonight's a milestone. When's the next milestone? That would be interesting to ask and see if we can find out when it comes to the stadium stuff. Man, what a wild week. We had a rookie minicamp last couple of days. That was on the heels of the draft. The schedule's coming out as late as I can remember the schedule coming out. We do have news on the schedule today that if you just are catching up, the leak of the Jags playing the Thursday night football game, week 2, not happening because Amazon said, don't steal our thunder. It's the Bills and the Dolphins. That's the game that's going to be played. There are some rumors that the Jags could play Houston here in Jacksonville week 1. I think that would be pretty entertaining. I do think the league has gone to more division games early and late in the year. And the Bills, by the way, and the Dolphins playing in week 2 indicate that as well. Mm-hmm. Who were the Browns in the Browns game against?
The one this year?
That Fox announced yesterday. Do you
Cowboys?
Remember? Oh, Cowboys. Okay, so that's not division. And obviously the Chiefs and Ravens aren't division. So it doesn't mean you're have to have division is what I was getting at. But they do seem to do that. We bookended with Indianapolis here in Jacksonville. I think Indianapolis was where it was last year, of course. You end with Tennessee 2 years in a row. So I think it's pretty clear that the last 5 weeks of the season, a couple to 3 of those are going to be division games.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah.
But even last year, I guess as I say that didn't necessarily happen. The Titans and Texans were, I want to say, in November, not really in the December timeframe before the Jags hit the skids against that AFC North schedule, and then even played Tampa before they played Tennessee, and they played so maybe there isn't as much rhyme or reason to this as we think. I mean, it feels like division games are going to be important down the stretch. Maybe it's just that one finale, but maybe that computer spits out stuff that doesn't really make sense year to year.
Maybe not, man. It's AI for you.
It's AI. So the schedule will be out tomorrow, by the way, and might work on a little bit of a.
I mean, Brent, if we made our entire Shock Your Mock soundtrack off of AI, and we know how that turned out, I mean, schedule is kind of the same thing.
Why don't we just plug that in? What's the Jags schedule going to be?
Into AI? Okay.
And see what happens.
Give me a couple minutes, please.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Are
you going to pay that? No, I'm just kidding. It should be free.
You know what else is interesting to me, what I'm seeing? I can't even consume this, is that in the last day or so, now the college schedules are coming out. Like not schedules, but times of games and announced. Like the Knowles, I guess, got an email. Let's see. I don't know. I think I got an email. Yeah, first 2 2024 game times announced.
Okay.
For the Knowles. They will play in Ireland at 5 o'clock on August 24th. That's noon Eastern time. And then the Labor Day home opener on Monday, September 2nd against Boston College will begin at 7:30. So teams are starting to do that now as well. Set your calendars for the fall is what's taking place. Hey, how big of a loss for Dallas last night was that? I saw Luka getting, amidst all my other emotional stuff going on yesterday, I saw Luka getting a lot of heat for missing a free throw.
So, yeah.
And by the way, the Mavs weren't very good from the free throw line in general.
No, the Mavs were really good in a lot of areas. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big loss, because I think they have to get Luka some rest. Luka's banged up right now, and you can see it on the court. Like, he's still playing, I think, the second highest minutes in the NBA playoffs, which is wild, but he is not 100%. And, I felt like that was a game where they go up 3-1, maybe you win the next one or the following one, you get a little rest for Luka to go into the next series, and now you got it, tied up 2-2, and they're going to need him again. So definitely a rough loss for the Mavericks. I don't know if anyone's really talking about this. There's been a lot of injuries on a lot of teams.
That's where I was going to go. I mean, Brunson, big start. Donovan Mitchell missed the game yesterday.
Mitchell was out. And, okay, I get the whole load management thing. I wonder, and, this is just me, this is bro science at its best. But, I wonder if there's something to be said for the fact that, if you look back in, the 90s, the whole season was played in a certain way, right? The regular season kind of matched the intensity of, the playoffs. You watch a regular season NBA game, listen, there's no defense. If you're a star, you're dropping at least 30 a night, or you're not doing your job. It's a different way of playing. And then also you get to the playoffs and it's elevated, right? Now the games matter a little more. Now we're playing a little defense every once in a while. Now we're, going to the hole a little harder. And when that happens, I feel like guys are getting hurt. So I wonder if it's just their bodies aren't conditioned for playoff basketball of how you treat the regular season or what the case is. But it seems more now than ever, every team's got some sort of injury.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want this to sound over dramatic. It probably does. I just tweeted it out, and it's really going to sound dramatic because I said nobody can survive the season anymore in professional sports. It's a major part of the equation. And what I don't know is if it's always been that part of the equation. Has that always been a thing, but we just didn't know it as much? We have bigger, faster, stronger athletes more now than ever before. We know that. We have recovery methods. We have science to tell us what to do. We have all these different resources and reasons and Taj Mahals of buildings in professional sports to take care of all those things. Yet we can't keep people healthy. Football makes sense, but there are 70 different quarterbacks throughout the course of the NFL. That doesn't actually provide you the best teams. That just says you beat attrition better than most. The NBA now, we're getting to Like Donovan Mitchell, Brunson, the Knicks are beat up. Luke is beat up. There's probably more examples of people beat up. I get that everybody's not 100%. You power through it, but these guys can't even power through it. They can't even play games. Like, that's significant. That changes series. That changes outcomes. That is not necessarily the best team. That is the most healthy team often surviving. Has that always been the case in sports? You look at Major League Baseball right now. I mean, we talked about it right from the jump. All the pitchers that were out in Major League Baseball the first 2 weeks of the season for long extended times, maybe the entire year, that people lost their rotation, that they spent $40 million on a guy and he would be gone. So is that just a natural part of sports and bleep happens?
Yeah.
Or is there something to it? Are the seasons too long? Is bigger, faster, stronger, and are training methods correct for endurance and durability to be able to get through these seasons? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm not suggesting one way or the other, but you would think in this time frame where we have scientific proof of recovery, eating habits, nutrition, all these things, these guys would be healthier than ever.
Correct.
To make it through seasons.
Yeah.
But they're not.
And once again, listen, this is my PhD in bro science. I think it's the fact that their bodies aren't accustomed to playing in playoff basketball because it's so different than the regular season.
And I could say that. I could see that. But I think in the other sports, like, you wouldn't necessarily go there, and they still can't make it.
Yeah, but no, for sure.
Well, football's more violent. I
well,
understand.
football's violent, but like you don't really change the intensity of a football like it's always intense.
Yeah.
You know, so like your body gets conditioned because it's going to be intense.
Every postseason hits a new level. But
of course, but like it's football.
Yeah.
And like I think hockey's the same way. I feel like the most drastic change of play in terms of intensity, in terms of effort, is the NBA regular season to the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know if I would disagree with you.
No.
I've always been told that, again, you're talking about a violent sport, so I'm not disagreeing with you, but I've always been told this from because we cover the football so much and so closely, that you go to like preseason to regular season is like boom to boom, right?
Sure.
But then you go from regular season to postseason, bam, it's that other jump.
Wouldn't know.
But I've been told that by players, like many players, to the point where, like, I fully believe it. The intensity ratchets up, right? And that's got to mean a lot, like high focus, hyper focus, hyper everything, because everything's so intense.
But maybe that's more mental than Brent.
And it might be. It may be. And by that time, too, you're so beat up that you're playing on adrenaline and other things.
Sure.
I feel like football guys are playing with stuff by week 4 that they're getting through. Is it not the basketball mentality to push through? Are they just not able to because of what they need their bodies to perform and how they do it? Speed of the game, shiftiness, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but I get what you're saying. I think, so should load management be a thing? Should they cut down the amount of games?
I mean, I think intensity should be a thing in the regular season.
Or maybe just intensity be a thing.
Yeah.
Because you did bring up that point, and don't want to dismiss it, that it felt like the intensity was there from the jump back in the day.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, again, it gets ratcheted up in the playoffs, but it
does.
there all
But
the
I mean,
time.
if you're Michael, like, I remember watching the Last Dance, like talking about, like, listen, every game you go to the hole, like, you're getting hit.
Yeah.
It's going to be physical. And that game has gone now.
I think we have to ask that question a little bit. Like, are we putting our leagues, are we putting our sports in a position to crown the best champ? The best team. We like the beauty of that.
Yeah.
Like, there are advantages for, like, the Celtics or the home field advantage, or in some leagues and conferences and whatever else, there are buys. But I'm saying from a health standpoint, are we putting these players in the best position to perform at their peak time? A lot of sports, track and field, swimming, Olympic sports, they taper down toward the end. Your sport, right?
Yeah.
You kind of ease up before you get to the big time.
Yeah.
Should there be more rest and recovery before you hit the regular?
I mean, the NBA is a
playoffs?
taper until you get to the playoffs. 5 months of tapering. Or 4 months.
So it's just interesting, though. And I don't know what the data says.
Yeah.
But it certainly feels like everybody's banged up.
Yeah.
Which seems counterintuitive to what we talk about with our athletes today. They're in the best shape of all time.
Yeah.
They're asking their bodies to do a lot, is what I think.
Without a doubt. And speaking of asking, and I'm changing topics here, I asked AI what the Jaguar schedule is going to be. You ready for this?
You got it?
I have it here.
Well, let's do this.
It's interesting.
Can you wait? Let's got to take a break. We got to pay the bills, and then we got to take a break.
That's a tease right there.
We'll take a break and come back.
I have the answer of the Jacksonville Jaguars 2024-2025 schedule.
Wow. We will release it next.
Yeah.
Here on the Brent Austen Show with some AI help. Here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. We all have our favorite spots in town to eat, drink, and have a good time. And once in a while, we try a new spot. This new spot will soon become your favorite spot. It's 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco. Where else can you get unicorn fish? It was really good. They have local fresh seafood. Try a terrific burger or a Jack's Hot Chicken sandwich. The ambiance is perfect for any occasion. The idea here is to have fun, have a good time. Whether you're chilling out on the couches, cozying up to the bar, having lunch or dinner, it's a throwback experience. 1937, when going out to dinner was like going to a party. They even have a photo booth. Who doesn't like a good photo booth? We recently brought the entire team out to try it, and everyone said, I'm bringing my significant other here to try it as well. The new spot becomes your favorite spot. Make 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco your new favorite spot.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops, beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
The schedule for one of the releases, and that's the Bills and Dolphins game. That'll be on Thursday Night Football with Amazon to kick off their schedule this year. Amazon releasing that today. So that's not, again, there was a leak out there with the Jags playing week 2 on Amazon against the Titans. That's obviously not going to be the case. So we are going to leak the entire schedule right now. How nervous does that make everybody down there if somebody heard that Jags headquarters?
Oh, I'm surprised you're not getting a phone call immediately, yeah.
So what do we want to call this?
I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't be hyping it up that much.
Oh, no?
I've never been so pissed off in my entire life.
But you're taking this AI thing serious.
Here it is. Here it is. Chat, I don't care. I'm calling people out. Hey, chat box. All right. You know, you got to subscribe and you get like tokens, right? So I use a token. I thought it was a good idea. Use a token. Ask them. Give me the 2024/2025 Jaguar schedule. Okay? Kim, feel free to put it on the board. I'm going to tell you right now, Brent, I am no longer worried about AI. Because there's a point where I was like, okay, it'll be like Terminator. They're going to take over, take all our jobs.
Yeah.
We're all going to be slaves one day. Like Terminator. Nope, not anymore. I'm not worried about it. AI doesn't do anything for me. Kim, put it up there, please.
I was expecting the complete opposite.
It is impossible to predict the specific schedule for the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2024 as it is dependent on various factors such as team performance. Whoop, hang on, not quite done yet.
You read faster. Or needed to read faster. And scheduling by the NFL.
However, it is likely that the Jaguars will face their division rivals twice, you don't say, as well as playing against teams from the AFC and NFC conferences. The schedule, the schedule will also likely include games against teams with similar records from the previous season. Ultimately, the Jaguars schedule for 2024 will be determined by the NFL and will be released closer to the start of the
Humanity has been saved.
Hey, we're all good, everybody. We're all good.
AI is just strictly Wikipedia.
You big dumb computers. What are we doing? Well, it's going to be from the AFC and that. You think?
How could it not predict? It couldn't take leaks. It couldn't take information. It couldn't give us a chance. It didn't even have the Jags playing the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Nothing.
Didn't have the Jags playing the Bears in London.
Nothing.
That is about as disappointing as you get. I thought I was disappointed in the FHSAA. I'm more disappointed in AI.
Literally sounded like Brent Martineau trying to explain the Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, I think the Lightning are doing pretty good. I don't know. Like, that's what that was. What a waste of time.
I think they play for a Stanley Cup.
What a waste of time. I used a token on that.
By the way, the Rangers have lost a couple in a row now.
Yeah. Hey,
so what's the token thing again?
So like all right. So I have you get 5 tokens to ask a question.
That's what that green thing was?
Yeah, that's what the green thing is. What a waste of a token. I mean, I've never actually used them, so I don't care, honestly.
So you don't know what happens if you use them all?
Probably got to pay some kind of fee. You know, that's with everything, Brent.
Well, you ain't paying a fee for that crap.
Yeah. No, definitely not. Next question I'm going to ask is, should I be worried about AI? Because I'm not. That's what I'm going to tell them.
I wonder what the answer would be.
You big dumb computers. What are we doing?
It did come up with some terrific music and songs for Shock Your Mock.
It did have some great songs. It had some kind of questionable songs as well.
But we were high on the charts during that time.
Well, it makes you wonder. I mean, we've been kind of on a Jelly Roll kick. You think Jelly Roll's doing AI with the music? You think that's where the lyrics are coming from?
I think Jelly Roll sounded better than whoever was singing on AI. That's for sure. Right. He's got a ramped up edition of AI if that's the case.
He does. I mean, all you got to put is, hey, AI, make me a song that would make a 14-year-old girl cry and a 60-year-old biker cry. No problem, Jelly Roll. Coming right up.
That's unbelievable. That's all they did for you there.
Like, just trying to save face?
Something else. But hey, is that actually a good thing? They don't know, so they're not saying?
Do you think AI has become so self-aware that they don't want to make themselves look bad?
Yes. I think so.
Is that where we're at now?
Yeah.
Dang.
We're like somebody on social
AI's
media.
got integrity, Brett. AI's got more integrity than me and you do because we're here dropping, it's going to be Titans Jaguars week 2.
AI has ego.
Man.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
That was disappointing. I had no idea where you were going. You were stunned by it. I thought your stunning nature to that was that they got the Lions Jags game.
Yeah.
Right. I did not expect it to be a statement from AI about the schedule.
No. My shock was the fact that AI just showed integrity.
Terrible.
It's the worst. That was the worst. I mean, that was up there with your envelope with the Jaguars' next coach.
That was worse.
At
least I took a damn guess.
You made us wait for like 4 months.
I know, but at least I had a name there.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, just an update on games, by the way. Trinity Christian playing that big game tonight against Bishop Snyder. They've moved the game to 6 o'clock at Trinity Christian, so they're going to try to get that one in. Pregame starts 5:45, 6 o'clock game instead of 7. So keep an eye on First Alert Weather Team, and also keep an eye on those schedules if you go in some games in the area, if you have games in the area in high school baseball and softball, and of course track as well coming up tomorrow at UNF. So a lot to pay attention to. We will be down at the stadium. The envelope reveal was not as bad as you guys
Brett,
make it
you were
seem.
dragging us along for 4 months when you could have just said, hey, I was wrong. That stupid envelope just waited there. The worst season finale of all time.
It was a memorable moment.
You thought Game of Thrones was bad, man.
Memorable moment. Kim, thanks for going back-to-back days with us. Appreciate it.
Kim made it possible.
Kim, you should watch Caitlin Clark tonight.
Yeah.
I'll if I'm not in it 3, if I'm not in it 4, I'll give it a go.
You ain't watch the 76ers?
Report back to us. All right. We'll be all the stadium coverage on actionnewsjax.com, CBS 47, and Fox 30. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Brent Austen Show. 1937 Spurs.